Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis. Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis. Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi. Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis. Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi, Prada. Them basic bitches wear that shit, so I don't even bother. Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi, Prada. Them basic bitches wear that shit, so I don't even bother. I put that on my partner, I put that on my family. Oakland City represent, address me as your majesty. Yeah, you can kiss a ring, but you can never touch the crown. I smoke a million Swisher blunts and I ain't never coming down. Bitch, you ain't no Barbie, I see you work at Arby's. Never too super silent, hurry up, I'm starving. Gnarly, radical, on the block I'm magical. See me at your college campus, baggy full of Adderalls. Call me if you need a fix, call me if you need a boost. See them other chicken heads, they don't ever leave the coop. I'm in the coop cruising, I got the stolen plates. Serving all the fiends over there by the Golden Gate. Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis. Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis. Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi, Fendi, Prada, Fendi, Fendi, Prada. Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi, Prada. Them basic bitches wear that shit, so I don't even bother. Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi, Prada. Them basic bitches wear that shit, so I don't even bother. I put that on my partner, I put that on my family. Oakland City represent, address me as your majesty. Yeah, you can kiss a ring, but you can never touch the crown. I smoke a million Swisher blunts and I ain't never coming down.
Do you agree that there's no such thing as racism, sexism, homophobism, Islamophobism, deadbeat dadism, white supremacism, and all the other isms? Destiny, that's a woman's name. You were raised by your daddy and mama. That makes you half man and half woman. You are a beta. You're not a real man, beta. I just have one question for ya, beta. There's just one thing I want to know. Destiny, do you love all people? Do you really love the blacks? Destiny, do you love black people? Why can't you just answer the question? Destiny, do you love all people?
Systems, the company store, the paradigm of absolute control. And that's why we're just out here doing simple things, pointing out that we're meant to be in nature and be natural. And this is where we find the source that God made to transcend the New World Order. And that's why they want to try to keep us out of it.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people. They're a bunch of Christian murderous scum. They're on giant death factories keeping babies alive and selling their body parts. What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Literal vampire pot-bellied goblins are hobbling round, coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap, we don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good, oh, they're so sweet.
I was watching Fox News as I worked out this morning.
Whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house. There's some whores in this house.
I said certified freak. 7 days a week. Wet ass P word. Make that pullout game weak. Yeah, you effin' with some wet ass P word. Bring a bucket and a mop for this wet ass P word. Give me everything you've got for this wet ass P word. Beat it up, N word, catch a charge. Extra large and extra hard. Put this P word right in your face. Swipe your nose like a credit card. Hop on top if I want to ride. I do a kegel while it's inside. Spit in my mouth, look in my eyes. This P word is wet, come take a dive. And continue along these lines. And it gets significantly more vulgar. Like, a lot more vulgar.
I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. My children aren't going hungry. I'll do it. I'll drink your blood. And I'm starting to think about having to eat my neighbors. You think I like size it up? I'm gonna haul him up back chain. Chop his ass up, size it up. I'm gonna haul him up back chain. Chop, 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 chop. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. I'll barbecue your ass flat. I will cook your ass up so fast, and I'll tell them, oh, I killed a cow out back, baby. You think Christ would eat somebody? He would never do that. I will. I'm ready to hang them up, gut them and skin them and chop them up. You know what? I'm ready. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat your ass. I will eat your leftist ass like corn on the cob. I'm ready. I will eat you. I will eat your ass. And that's why I want the globalists to know. I will eat your ass first. I swear to God, if it's the last thing I do, I'm gonna get my hands around your throat.
What rolls downstairs, a motor in pairs, rolls over your neighbor's dog? What's great for a snack and fits on your back? It's long, long, long. It's long, long. It's big, it's heavy, it's wood. It's long, long. It's better than that, it's good. Everyone wants a long. You're gonna love it long. Come on and get your long. Everyone needs a long.
Log from Blammo.
Oh, it's another B-Word broadcast. Let's go. How you doing, chat? How you been? How's it going? Holy golly gee willikers. It is the 18th of October. It's a Tuesday, and we've got so much content lined up for you today. Thanks so much for joining us. How's your day going, chat? It is starting to get cold up here in Montreal, but we ain't letting that get us down. Got a big poetry show tonight with the French scene. All sorts of crazy shenanigans happening. It's going to be a wild show. I'm excited to be your host. Yeah, your streamer, your favorite streamer. But yeah, I'm all caffeinated. I hope you've had some good coffee this morning. We're checking out the, hopefully, an actually wholesome, positive resolution to the Amaranth story. If you've been following it, Amaranth has leaked that she's been in apparently an abusive relationship with her husband, and now it seems like she has finally ended that relationship. It's great. It's great to see. It's honestly really positive and wholesome. And after that, we're gonna go to the opposite end of the spectrum and look at what Russia's doing to Ukraine. It's full-blown terror state stuff. It's not good at all. We've got like kamikaze drones apparently. So we're gonna take a look at the new era of warfare, and also apparently Russia nationalized ExxonMobil. Just something klepto states tend to do. Kleptocratic states. So that's the plan. That's what we're doing today. Not sure how long I will go for today. I gotta get ready for the poetry slam. Maybe I can do some of the poems that I have, and you can maybe help me figure out what's a good English poem to bring to the French scene. Yeah, and that could be a fun way to sort of like and wrap it up, everything. But yeah, all right, cool. Yeah, so let's get into it. I'm a blast off on Twitter. If you're not following me on Twitter, you got to. That's where all the best shower thoughts are, and all my announcements when I'm streaming or when I decide I'm not streaming. It does happen. So yeah. If you enjoy the stream, go check that out. I'd appreciate the support. Juice it, as they say. All right, we're gonna get into the main subject for today. We're gonna check out Amaranth's stream. She went live, I think, last night. So yeah, we're gonna take a look at that and see what she had to say. Already, her vibes were completely different. So it seemed to be like heading in a positive direction. So yeah. I was kind of happy to see it. I only saw like a quick little clip. But I want to see the full stream. It's about an hour long, and it should be pretty interesting and entertaining, to say the least. So yeah, let's head on over to that content. Meow. Okay, okie dokes. Golly gee. Just gonna refresh that real quick. There we go. Okay. So yeah. Amaranth looks like she went live. Was it yesterday? 5 hours ago. We just missed it. So I wonder if she's in a different time zone. Okay. Well, anyways, here it is. Let's take a look.
Abuse. Anyway, so that happened.
And we'll go from the beginning. Excuse me, just a bit stuffy. Oh, puppy, doggo.
I think I'm gonna keep it on emote mode for now, so I don't get distracted.
Emote mode is a good choice.
Thank you though, everyone who's been like super kind and supportive lately. Over the past few days, I've had lots of people reach out to show concern.
And how? Pretty messed up situation she's going through.
People would give a shit, to be honest.
Dude, you're like one of the
Crazy.
biggest people on the platform.
Had a lot of friends that reach out. And then the creators, even people who don't like me, like, even haters are like, damn, I fucking hate Amaranth, but you know what? I hope she's okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's so nice. It's crazy. It's been a wild ride.
Yeah, no doubt. I might speed this up a bit.
As you can see, doggos are safe. The big one is outside in case crazy people show up.
And that happens apparently. You know, good old stalkers.
Stop staring at shadows.
So, might have to skip forward a bit. Some of this might just be therapy.
Like, as for the husband situation, I guess,
Here we go.
as some of you probably saw the other night, he called me during stream,
Right.
and I disappeared for like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then I finally like unmuted about an hour and a half into the call, I guess.
Okay.
And I apologize that that was hard to watch for people. I didn't really know what else to do because he was threatening to tweet shit, right? So kind of, he was gonna tweet lies. I wanted to beat him to the punch, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Information warfare.
Sorry for if I triggered anybody with past abuse. Anyway, so that happened.
That was wild.
That was actually the first time that he's ever heard himself on a recording because, as I told you guys before, previously when I recorded him, he would just like refuse to listen
Ha.
to recordings.
Nice.
Sometimes would like take phones, etc., so he would never actually hear them.
That's insane.
And I think that when he heard himself on that call, it really sunk in how much of an asshole he is.
Interesting. Okay.
You never fucking realized, idiot. Anyways.
I get it. I can see how someone lies himself.
Today, though, I have access to all of my accounts and finances again.
Okay. That's what.
He's not here. He's getting help. And I'm seeking legal and emotional counsel.
Good shit. Nice. Poggers. Good for you. Girl boss. Let's go.
I'm like, do I drink? Do I stay hydrated? I don't know which one right now. But yeah, I've had a lot of people reach out to offer their help and support, including like legal help, places to stay, etc. So I really appreciate that. Thank you. It's been rough. It's just gonna be really messy, I fear. But you know, the alternative, keeping it hidden, was messy too. So I
Yep.
guess choose your mess.
Yeah. Pick your evil.
Oh, I forgot to tweet that I'm live. Whoops.
See, even professional streamers make that mistake.
Let's see.
Dang, man. It's crazy to see people's lives hit like critical junctures, straight up like, and we all get to kind of like peek in and sort of like see what's up. The window pane to the house of their lives is open. But it sounds like it ends well for once,
I have access to all my accounts.
despite the years of.
Factors everything. So
Wow, okay, that's the part that really got under my skin.
anymore.
That shit was crazy. Two-factored out of your own brand. Whew.
It's like relieving, but you know, it's still a lot to process. So
Yeah, for sure.
I'm just dealing with it all still.
She's gonna need a new.
So many messages. It's kind of crazy. It's like I felt so alone for so long, and now it's like I can't stop getting people to talk to me. Not in a bad way. It's just a very big contrast. I didn't think people cared that much.
People usually just don't know that you're going through something.
Some people though seem to be using the situation for personal gain and clout, which is less moving.
Yeah, it's been some wild takes.
Unfortunately, my cameraman seems to be one of those people, former cameraman.
Oh.
Over the TwitchCon weekend, he actually withheld information and sat on communications, which made certain situations more explosive than they needed to be. So, I don't know what he's doing now. Sunday night after TwitchCon, I felt uncomfortable with like how much he was, what's a good word for, escalating matters, because it was very tense, as you saw from the text messages, partly because of the miscommunications. He called security to resolve the situation forcibly and aggravated it further when he called police, even though I said I didn't want to do that. So I felt like he was attempting to create a scene at a convention full of live streamers. Like our floor literally had streamers staying in it.
Yeah.
All down the floor.
Yeah.
And so
Media
it
frenzy.
was very shitty because when I expressed clearly I had plans in place to quietly deal with the situation at home, didn't really appreciate that. He exasperated the situation actually, and like he sparked tensions too that were like dormant, because you know
She's talking about the cameraman?
the past few years it's been kind of tense, but they're having good periods too, and then it'll get bad again and good and it's bad, and it was dormant for a while, but that made it worse. And after the police call, he actually quickly left to catch the original flight. So we were all on the same flight, and it was the altercation was really close to the flight time, so he left me alone with my partner to rebook our flight, which I thought was kind of shitty. So that's really weird now, because after we got home, he appeared to flip-flop loyalty, and within the past few days even, he's pretended to be a conduit of information about my welfare, like on Twitter, badgering other staff to give him information to tweet about, and he's encouraged people to show up at my door who I don't know.
What?
Like, what the fuck?
That's
I carefully guard
not
my
okay.
personal information, and I don't think it should be unguarded without my consent, so I've been kind of fucked up about that recently.
I bet.
Yeah, so that's partly why I haven't been on, just dealing with everything, including a lot of random visitors and cop calls and stuff. Yeah. Love that. Very fun. So. Yeah.
Sounds fun. Sounds like a jolly good old time. Sorry, the volume was low.
But I do appreciate the people who have actually been reaching out and expressing concern and offering help. It's really kind of them.
It's good to hear.
Sorry if I sound gross. I've been screaming and crying a lot recently.
Yeah, you do you.
My voice is really almost gone, it feels like.
There was like so much misogyny that cropped up in the wake of this. She says she looks gross. She's like,
but for now,
looks fine. Looks like a normal
the
person.
situation is calm.
She's like, her makeup's done fine. Her mascara's not even running.
I'm just glad the dogs are okay.
That was where I started to get really upset. Her angry cat mood shirt, yeah, it's like definitely vibes. But yeah, like imagine threatening someone's dog. Are you insane? Puppy, oh, how do you not sympathize? Clearly the dog loves her. That's a good sign.
Okay. We tolerated that for so long, thank you.
He's not doing it for the camera, because dogs don't know what cameras are.
No.
Or do they? Do dogs know what cameras are? Probably not. They probably know it's an important magical wand for us, but I don't think they know what it does, right? I'm not really sure. Hmm.
But yeah, I just need some time to try to process everything and get my thoughts together before streaming again.
Took like
Trying
one
to
day.
think about what to do, what's best to do.
I can't believe she's
next.
already gone live. Miss Gift took a longer time off.
As for real work, I think I want to keep it going. I built like a super awesome team for it. They've worked really hard, and I think that they still have so much potential to make great things happen. So
cool. I mean, part of the
just trying to pick up the pieces and move on, you know.
yeah, she's got like a lot of.
I'm still seeking counsel though and exploring options. I'm really grateful for the support. It's crazy how many people that I have in my corner, so thank you.
That's a
I'm
nice.
really fortunate in that regard.
It's a nice feeling. Puppy. Yeah, I was gonna say her business has a lot of pieces going for it,
She's so sweet.
from what I understand. And losing your business manager, I guess,
safe.
in this case,
So sweet and safe.
it's a big deal, but it's not the biggest deal.
But yeah, I think over the next
More the emotional
week,
trauma.
probably I'm gonna take some time to process and spend time with the animals.
Good.
Now that
Nice.
I'm not stressed that they're gonna be killed, you know. It's like I can actually relax a bit.
Damn. I thought my life was stressful.
I just want to get back to what I like doing, like what I like doing.
It's every streamer's dream to like get to big enough where you can just do what you want and not what the audience wants.
Like I'm positive about the future. Like I'm happy about it. That I'm free. It's just still a lot. It's a lot.
I feel like a lot of people are gonna empathize though. See where she's coming from.
You know? At least I was able to finally get control of everything again.
Yo, imagine what that does to your head. Knowing that if it comes to it comes to a big argument, he's got the keys. I wouldn't sleep well at night if someone had that kind of
Knox, come here. What are you doing?
power over my like streaming
Knox.
brand.
Look under the bed. Noxie. Come here. Shit, I need therapy. Fuck.
Pet therapy. Oh man, I wonder if I can get some pet therapy at my university. I'm not allowed to have pets in my apartment, so definitely feel dog starved. Is that a term? I want puppy, doggo, make so happy.
You're so jealous. You're so jealous. Okay, listen. That was rude. That was rude. I guess I'll open chat up for a little bit. I'm more calm. I don't know if I'll regret that. We'll see.
Can we see chat? No, I guess she didn't save chat for the VOD.
Oh no, dog hair in my mouth. Oh, thank you, chat. I don't really know what I'm gonna do next. Hopefully a lot more animal streams. It's gonna take time to process, I think. I don't know when or if I'll be back to like a full-time schedule.
Seems sensible.
At least for now, though, I think I'm gonna take it easy.
Isn't she like a millionaire? Can't you take like a proper vacation? You earned it.
And I don't have to wear cleavage every day. I can wear clothes. Master has given Dobby a sock. Dobby is free.
Oh. Oh, feels bad, man. Ah. That's the clip I saw that made me want to watch this whole thing. It was just like, oh my god, that's heartbreaking. Oh my god. Finally free. Master's given Dobby.
It's a lot. It doesn't even feel real.
Yeah, it's like a breakup you're like so happy for. You're like, oh, finally. I don't have to think about this person anymore.
Someone in the chat was asking about the cameraman in the pictures from today. Yeah, that was me that said stop it. Because he's just, I feel like he's just out of line right now after the way he acted at the convention. It's like he has known me longer than anyone on my staff, so I don't like that he's labeling other people as enablers. Because he's known about the situation for so long. It just feels really, really weird. Really sus.
Sasi baka.
Yeah, a lot of shit come out of this.
Yeah, you really find out
it's
where
messy.
what side people
But, oh well.
what
I
side
think
people are
ultimately
on.
I'll be okay. As long as the animals are okay, I'll be okay. I get to sleep for 8 hours tonight for once.
Yo, sleeping in.
I've been on a 3 to 5 hour schedule for so long.
That's not
Sleeping, I mean.
That's not okay. 3 to 5 hours? What? No. What? Oh, that can't be good. Even 5 hours is like not enough.
I don't
6
even know what
hours
to
is
do
like
with that much sleep anymore.
your minimum. That's 2 to 3 cycles. That's not enough. Your brain needs more than 2 to 3 cycles.
And I get to actually see my horses too.
Wow, he like stood in the way
Instead of them being like Tamagotchi that I throw money at through a screen.
That's fucked.
Nice.
Something about those repetitive actions that you learn so much from. You look back in your life and you say, what have I been repeating that is meaningless? Paying for my horses through my...
I get to watch TV shows again. Wow. It's the little things.
Yeah, little things like having empty time, doing nothing. Damn, man. She's so hurt.
But now my dating life's gonna be fucked. I need so much therapy now.
Yeah, I doubt you're ready for dating anytime soon. I don't know how you trust people again after that.
I don't think I want to date anymore. I just want animals.
Yeah.
L humans, W animals.
Get all your videos ad-free and watch uninterrupted. Try
Humans, what a bunch of apes.
No, they were good humans though too. Oh, I've had a lot of good people lately reach out to me.
Yeah, see?
I actually think there's more good people than bad people.
I think it fluctuates. I think you have societies that are based on trust and societies that are based on distrust.
What?
And that external factors often
Why are you? Why? I call him this
influences.
dog. What? This one. This one.
I'm not sure we're gonna watch all of this.
You're so.
There has been some like
You're literally pushing his face away. That's so rude, Noxie.
There
No,
has
come here,
been some,
Noxie. You're so
pretty
rude.
interesting
Luna,
bits.
stop it. You're so rude. Dr. K. Oh, he's gonna have a field day.
Oh yeah, she should go in Dr. K show. That'll be good.
Oh, probably not healthy. I've been a Truman Show for too long.
Truman Show. Nice. Yeah, true. It's just like it's no longer a sci-fi TV like movie that we all go see and we go,
I don't really know
wow,
what's
what an
gonna
idea.
happen, though.
It's just like some random streamer's been in her own Truman. How many other people are doing a Truman Show right now? That's what I want to know.
I just hope that people still watch without so much titty showing.
That's gonna be the hardest knock on the confidence. It's kind of the hard part. The misogyny. Double-edged sword of the booba.
It feels good though to have like people who are supportive. You know. Jokes aside though, I'm really happy that I have so many people in my corner.
I mean, it's pretty easy, clear-cut case. I don't think anybody's having a hard time jumping on her side. The other guy's not even a public figure. The brand is like almost entirely hers. She's still a human
I
being.
just felt so alone for so fucking long.
That's the part that is hard to hear.
Makes me wish I had done it sooner. I just finally snapped.
Yeah, she probably could have pulled that trigger a long time ago.
Just a lot happening, you know. But yeah, I still want to do real work though. Like, I feel like there's a lot of girls that can help. You know? So I still have that. I still have all my platforms. None of them got deleted, so future I think will be okay. I just gotta take some time to process everything before getting back into the swing of it, whatever the new swing looks like. I'm just glad I was able to get on stream without the cops being called. Before I was like, all right,
True.
and then, oh, fuck. Well, rip. So, that's good. No, the police have been really kind. They're not, none of them have come out like guns ablazing. It's just people checking up on me, so I really appreciate it.
Well,
Not like SWAT situations, just welfare checkups.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Alinity
it's been nice.
sent a welfare check.
Just a lot to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. Who's at the door now? But
I have had some situations that were like, I hear tapping on my windows and then my guard dog starts barking, so I don't know what that's been about.
Yikes. Yikes.
Maybe results of certain people encouraging people to show up at my house who I don't know. I don't know. So that's annoying.
Creepy,
so
man.
Probably gonna be looking at moving. Just
Oh.
fuck that.
Dude.
Too much.
Some people have no chill. Imagine creeping up on some person's house in the middle of the night. It's scary, man.
More guard dogs.
More guard dogs, yeah, for real.
No, I still have security and cameras, so it's okay. For now, I'll be fine, I think. You know, it can't be any more scary than my former situation, right?
Yeah. That's what I was gonna
lived through
say.
that for how many years?
How many years?
6-ish years?
6?
I don't know anymore.
Dang, 6 years. Probably the first couple were really good, and then it took a turn. I don't know much about the relationship, except how it ends.
I've seen a lot of people being like, oh, she should have kept it private. And I'm like, I did. It wasn't getting better.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
did keep it private for a long time.
It goes public.
Police really don't do anything. unless
Situations
you're
resolved
physically
immediately.
harmed. Unfortunately, yelling at your partner isn't grounds for legal action from the police.
Yeah.
So they don't really help with that.
Psychological abuse or emotional abuse is
They look for
pretty hard
actual
to prove.
physical
Yeah.
damages.
Physical evidence pretty useful in a court of law. So here.
So it's just crazy that all this shit had to happen before you finally go to therapy. I've been begging for years. But now, you know, fuck it. I'm fucking getting therapy too and seeking legal counsel, so.
Now she's gonna be doing
Too much.
a lot of talking, but about him rather than to him, and it's gonna be jarring. There's gonna be this big void in her life that
I don't know.
your,
People.
your brain keeps expecting.
It just feels so peaceful to have the house to myself without worry of somebody storming in and yelling at me midstream.
Yeah, seriously. I can barely handle chat. Skip
I want
forward
to
a
do
bit.
animals.
Looks like I think we got an idea for how this stream went. Decompressing, relaxing, reading chat.
I don't even know what to do now.
Kinda,
I got used to the grind for so long.
yeah.
I was like on autopilot for 12 to 15 hours a day.
Oh my god.
Just there's so many options.
God. Oh my god. 12 to 15 hour days.
The Pokemon games are coming out soon.
3 to 5 hour
So I
sleeps.
can actually play them.
Bro, imagine Amaranth just becomes like this elite gamer streamer. That'd be awesome. Just the segue. I hope she like is able to move her brand in whichever direction she wants. Yeah,
That's the
exactly.
day for
Like
that.
like I've seen Amaranth, and of all the like Booba streamers, I was like, all right, this is actually one of the few I'd kind of watch. It seems all right, but it's still just kind of like
Play it though.
weird. I don't know. I don't. That's not.
Higher numbers.
I don't know. Like I've split those two worlds in my brain. Twitch and porn are two different things. So I don't totally understand the appeal. But I understand why people watch it. But she has a great personality, and so if she's able to like communicate that and do something, you know, that I'm more comfortable watching, I'll absolutely be in her streams in the future. Just
I
as
still can't believe just how many people gave a shit. Because for most of the years online, it felt like everyone was against me. For like the type of content that I didn't even want to stream.
Yikes, yo. That sucks. She's not saying a lot, but when she is saying something, it's... nothing but...
Even like the old toxic controversies I've had where people are like, she streamed at a gym. It's like, I didn't want to. I wanted to go home and play Pokemon. I don't know. I just wanted to be at home. I don't like confrontation. Obviously. Otherwise I wouldn't have been silent for so long, right?
And even in that argument with her, she was supplicatory. She was...
You know, sometimes you just gotta do it.
trying to find the way that was
improves. I'm not really happy
non-confrontational.
that things can improve finally.
Comeback stream's a drinking stream.
Noxie! Nox!
I think,
Your name is not Nox. Why does
I think we got an idea. Let's see what's going
that's
on
good.
in the world news. I wanted to take a closer look at what's happening in Russia and Ukraine because all sorts of crazy stories are coming out and it's looking pretty grim. It's looking like I don't know, Putin has snapped, lost his mind, lost his marbles. So we're gonna take a look at that, and it also seems like we're gonna have a preview into modern warfare, which is gonna be very drone heavy. So yeah, let's get into that. I got a couple palette cleansers. If we feel ready to get angry over the economy, I don't know, man. Oh yeah, actually, this could be funny. Majority of Tory party members want Liz Truss to resign now, and they want Boris Johnson to replace her. So how's that for a palate cleanser, chat? Looks like Britain is going to resign Truss. Let's put Bojo back in there. That'll fix things. Truss was a terrible choice. Was Bojo that bad? Why did we get rid of him in the first place? Oh man. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. A YouGov poll of Tory members found 55% would now vote for Rishi Sunak, who lost out to Miss Truss, if they were able to vote again, while just 25% would vote for Miss Truss. It's just come on, Britain, get it together. What are you even doing? You're gonna go through 3 leaders in the span of like how long? A few months? Like what are you doing? What's happening? Okay, so you might have heard that there was, you might have seen this image. Let's see here, the Nord Stream. There's like this pipeline, and it exploded, and it's got all the world's like, why did this thing that carries Russian glass go kablooey? So it looks like we're getting a bit closer into this story. And there's been a bunch of like hoopla around it where Russia was not allowed to be part of the investigation for reasons. So like Russia's got lots of trust going around, and we'll get into that a bit more. But yeah, Denmark confirms that Nord Stream explosions caused damage. So now we know for sure that like this wasn't just some natural event. Not that anybody really expected it. Danish authorities on Tuesday confirmed that powerful explosions had caused the extensive damage to pipelines bringing gas from Russia to Europe last month. Copenhagen police said in a statement that it had carried out a preliminary investigation on the crime scenes at the Nord Stream 1 and Nord Stream 2 pipelines in the Baltic Sea, with assistance from the military and intelligence services. Quote, "It is still too early to say anything about the framework under which the international cooperation, i.e. Sweden and Germany, will run, as it depends on several factors," Copenhagen police said of an international probe. Okay, so like we can't see what's going on. That's all right. Okay, but it seems that sabotage is likely the cause, according to preliminary investigations. So that's interesting. Meanwhile, speaking of gas, Exxon fully withdraws from Russia after Putin seizes assets.
President Biden says there will be consequences for Saudi Arabia after the kingdom sided with other oil-producing countries to significantly cut production. Less oil on the market means the cost of a barrel goes up. Oil prices inevitably trickle down to gas prices, and that cost is rising again after falling from highs this summer. According to AAA, the national average for a gallon of regular was $3.92 on Wednesday. That's up 9 cents from a week ago. The Biden administration called the move by OPEC to reduce oil output by 2 million barrels a day short-sighted and said it directly benefits Russia and Vladimir Putin. In an interview with CNN, President Biden confirmed the U.S. will reevaluate its relationship with Saudi Arabia.
Do you think it's time for the U.S. to rethink its relationship with Saudi Arabia?
Yes, I am.
I hope so.
In the process, when the
Shogji,
House and Senate gets back, they're going to have to. There's going to be some consequences for what they've done with Russia.
What kind of consequences? Menendez says suspend all arms sales. Is that something you'd consider?
I'm not going to get into what I'd consider and what I have in mind, but there will be consequences.
Good answer.
CBS News Chief White House Correspondent Nancy Cordes joins us now. She's traveling with the president in Marina del Rey, California. Nancy, the president said in that interview he's not going to get into what the consequences might be, but what consequences might he be thinking about?
Okay, this is
well,
Saudi
his
Arabia.
national security advisor, Jake Sullivan, did.
ExxonMobil on Monday said it has fully exited Russia, with the energy giant saying that President Vladimir Putin had expropriated its assets in the country and, quote, unilaterally terminated the company's Sakhalin-1 oil project. Quote, with 2 decrees, the Russian government has unilaterally terminated their interest in Sakhalin-1 and the project has been transferred to a Russian operator, an ExxonMobil spokeswoman said. She didn't disclose whether Exxon received compensation for the... Wait, did they not get paid? But added that Exxon plans to reserve its legal rights under international law and its production sharing agreement to pursue remedies. Yo, communist country nationalizes the oil based. Russia's move to seize Exxon's assets come after 7 months of negotiations over a transfer of the company's stake in the Sakhalin-1 project, according to Reuters, which first reported on Exxon's move to complete its withdrawal from the country. Quote, we made every effort to engage with the Russian government and other stakeholders, the next Exxon spokesperson told. They're always like anonymous. It's always like this Exxon spokesperson. Empty Suit says, in March, the energy giant announced it planned to exit Russia in response to the nation's invasion of Ukraine and that it would not make any new investments in Russia. Okay, so Russia is technically getting its wrist slapped and they're like, yeah, you're going to leave? What if we just seize everything? So the big story, our second main segment after Amaranth being freed from her husband and that upsetting relationship that was apparently quite abusive. European Parliament to vote on recognizing Russia as a state sponsor of terror. This is pretty big. It's definitely a big shift in the rhetoric. So it's kind of why it's like one of the main stories. This is Pravda. Some people have criticisms of this journalism outlet. The European Parliament has approved the request of the European Conservatives and Reformists political group to include a debate on the recognition of the Russian Federation as a state sponsor of terrorism in the agenda of the Parliament's plenary session. So it's not like they've voted for it, but it looks like they might get up to it. A total of 201 members of the European Parliament, MEPs, supported the inclusion of the resolution in the debate. 99 voted against, and 61 abstained. So they're going to talk about it. Quote, "We are glad that this debate will take place and that in November we will vote on this resolution, which will allow us to represent the true relations between Russia and the EU and will underscore the barbarity of Putin and his entourage, as well as those from Western Europe who do business with him," Ryzanka said. And Ryzanka, I imagine, is the the member for Poland. The resolution expected to be debated and put to a vote 21st to the 24th of November. So in like a month's time, it might be big news coming out of the parliament. That's wild. That's wild. And why? Why is this happening? Why would such a big conversation be? Well, it's because Russia has hit Ukraine with another deadly wave of, quote, S-word drones. I don't know if I can say that word on stream, even though we're talking about mechanical objects. But hey, this is not what I expected for the future of warfare. Uh-oh.
We want to begin tonight overseas with the war in Ukraine, where Russia is inflicting a new type of terror on several major cities using Iranian-made kamikaze drones. The unmanned aircraft are small but pack a heavy punch and explode on impact. Today, raining down from the sky during the morning rush hour and rocking residential buildings. Ukrainian President Zelensky says his military was able to shoot down 37 drones, but the wave of attacks killed at least 4, including a woman who was 6 months pregnant. Inside Russia and near the border of Ukraine, a fighter jet crashed into a 9-story apartment building. Russian news agencies report that the plane's engines caught fire during a training exercise and the pilots were able to eject. And there's some good news to report. 108 Ukrainian women are free tonight after being in Russian captivity. Some were prisoners before the war. CBS's Holly Williams will start us off tonight. Good evening, Holly.
Man, the war's been going on for how long now?
Good evening, Nora. After months of relative calm in Kyiv, today the city was pummeled for the second time in as many weeks. And while some experts believe that Russia is running short of munitions, Russian forces have begun using a new weapon with devastating effects.
Are they desperate? Why would you do that?
Early this morning, a swarm of so-called suicide drones bombarded Ukraine's capital.
Whoa.
Kamikaze weapons packed with deadly explosives that detonate on impact. They've been used to attack frequently in recent weeks. Today, they rained down on city streets.
That's
Russia's
terrifying.
repeatedly claimed that it doesn't target civilians. But this neighborhood in Kyiv is home to apartment buildings, restaurants and schools. Kyiv's mayor, Vitaly Klitschko, called Russia a terrorist state.
Killed a lot of people, civilians, unguilty people, and that's why it's terror attack.
Ukraine says it shot down some of the drones today. This video appears to show Ukrainian police officers making a successful hit, but they're small and apparently difficult to track on radar.
Yo, like that's who is it? Robert Evans, who's done some like reporting from I think he went and visited Kurdistan or the state known as Kurdistan or whatever. And one of the things that really stuck with me from his reporting was like the fear that is emerging on the battlefield when you hear that whine of drones, because they're so hard to see, they're so fast, mobile, they're small, and they pack a punch. You know, you can equip them with little small grenades that you can drop, or as we're seeing now, just make the whole thing the weapon itself. And yeah, I don't know what you do about that. I have no idea what you do about that. Apparently they have like some automatic firing, like some weapons that can automatically track them. And that was what we saw in one of the footages, where it's like the drone is flying and there's a lot of like laser shots going at it. Bullets, but they look like lasers.
Also cheap, some reportedly selling for around $20,000 each. The US says Iran has agreed to provide hundreds of drones to Russia for use in Ukraine. But
can't put that up. Skip over that.
Claims Russia made an even bigger order from Iran, putting the figure at nearly 2,500 suicide drones. Now, we can't independently verify that, but if it's true, it could have a significant impact on the course of this war. Nora.
Yeah, frightening indeed. Holly
So
Williams.
that's the major reason that this thing might be happening in the European Parliament. It's pretty wild. It's pretty incredible. Man, just I never thought I'd actually live to see the day of drones doing their drone things. Elon Musk says SpaceX has withdrawn request for the Pentagon to fund Starlink in Ukraine. So he was like, hey, Pentagon, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can keep funding this Starlink. You're going to have to start paying up. And it looks like he's backed down from this stunt. I don't know. I don't even know what to call it at this point. SpaceX founder Elon Musk said Monday afternoon that the funding request the company had made to the Pentagon to start picking up the bill for satellite internet services for Ukraine has been withdrawn. Musk's announcement on Twitter. It just says perfume salesman. My goodness. SpaceX has already withdrawn its request for funding. Okay. To be precise, 25,300 terminals were sent to Ukraine, but at present, only 10,630 are paying for service. It's just the timing of it. The federal government funded a lot of it. Okay, it's fake news, everybody. And somebody asking for him to do it for Iran as well. Okay, Musk's announcement on Twitter followed an exclusive CNN report that SpaceX made a request to the Pentagon in September, saying they were no longer able to donate the critical Starlink terminals or support the expensive accompanying service for an indefinite period of time. SpaceX asked the Pentagon to start paying for the service for the current terminals operated by the Ukrainian government, as well as fund almost 8,000 new terminals in service for Ukraine's military and intelligence services. After the CNN report revealed the request and showed in greater detail that SpaceX is not solely responsible for Starlink access in Ukraine. In fact, numerous international efforts funded much of it. Oh, is that true? Oh, well, geez, he's trying to take all the credit for a massive international collaborative effort. Oh, okay, cool. Big. I guess that's not much of a surprise. Musk tweeted on Saturday, quote, "To hell with it. Even though Starlink is still losing money and other companies are getting billions of taxpayer dollars, we'll just keep funding the Ukraine government for free." Spoken like a true alpha. Musk's tweet on Monday went a bit further, saying the step had been taken to rescind the request to the Defense Department. CNN has asked the Pentagon if SpaceX has withdrawn its request for funding. Two sources, briefed on the discussions between SpaceX and the Pentagon, told CNN that as of Friday, before Musk's apparent about-face, the Pentagon had in fact agreed to the request from SpaceX to pay for ongoing service for Ukraine's government and the new request from Ukraine's commanding general. So wait, they said they would pay for it? That funding request was for $124 million for the remainder of 2022. It's unclear what the final amount or terms agreed to were. Quote, "To be precise, 25,003." Okay, we just read that from Musk. The SpaceX letter to the Pentagon on September 8th said the company had paid for around 70% of the internet service of Ukraine's terminal, which is valued at as much as $4,500 per month, but had fully funded only about 15% of the 20,000 terminals. The rest was paid for by governments like the US, UK, and Poland, as well as private initiatives. On Monday, before Musk tweeted, a senior defense official told reporters the Pentagon had not paid SpaceX anything for Starlink in Ukraine at this time. So it looks like they agreed to it. They haven't paid him, and then he tweets the thing. It looks like they'll rescind it. That's an odd story, man. Elon Musk is such a strange individual. Okay. So it looks like Israel, according to Haaretz, is providing Ukraine with intel on Russia's Iranian drones. New York Times report reveals that Israel is providing Ukraine with intel on Iranian drones being deployed by Russia, but refuses to sell its sought-after aerial defense systems. Nice. But looks like New York Times got the story. Western nations rush defensive system to Ukraine to counter Russian missiles. Yeah, that sounds about right. And here is a closer look. Oh, I'm not sure I can do BNO News. Yeah, I don't think I can do that source. Here we go. So something from BBC. U.S. says Iranian drones breach sanctions. So this is where, yeah, the rest of the world's going to start getting in on the war games more and more and more, getting sucked into it. Just like, gosh, what was that war where other countries got sucked into a local regional conflict? Oh, geez, what was it? Oh, geez, I can't remember what it's called. Okay, let's read this story. Just pulling up me chat. The U.S. says it agrees with Western allies that Iran's supply of explosive drones to Russia violates UN sanctions. So Israel is supporting Ukraine with drone warfare, and it looks like Iran is supporting Russia with drone warfare. That's good and great and grand and a good sign for things to come. Oh, geez. Kyiv was struck by so-called kamikaze drones on Monday, unleashed by Russia but believed to be Iranian-made. So Iran really is like the giant dick here. The U.S. agrees with the French and British assessment that the drones violate UN Security Council Resolution 2231, the U.S. State Department said. That resolution, linked to Iran's nuclear accord, bars Iranian transfers of certain military technologies. Ukraine has identified the drones, or unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, as Iranian Shahed 136 weapons. They are called kamikaze drones after the Japanese fighter pilots who flew S missions in World War II. It is our belief that these UAVs that were transferred from Iran to Russia and used by Russia and Ukraine are among the weapons that would remain embargoed under 2231, said Vedant Patel of the State Department. Iran denies supplying them to Russia, but Mr. Patel said the U.S., quote, exposed publicly that Russia has received drones from Iran, that this was part of Russia's plan to import hundreds of Iranian UAVs of various types. He added that there was, quote, extensive proof of Russia's use of them in Ukraine. So much proof that, like, you know, local police officers are shooting it down because they have no air defense. Critical infrastructure was hit on Monday in Ukraine's Kyiv, Dnipro, and Sumy regions, with electricity cut in hundreds of towns and villages, the Kyiv government said. At least 8 people were unalived, 4 in Kyiv and 4 in Sumy. The U.S. said it would, quote, hold Russia accountable for its war crimes. So I think this is a clip of the police officer. It's gonna mad lad his way. Dang, what a clip. I don't even know what they're aiming at, to be perfectly honest. Okay, so that is from Anton Geronshenko from Twitter. Mr. Patel said the deepening alliance between Russia and Iran was something the whole world should see as a threat. Russia and Iran have provided key military support for President Bashar al-Assad in the Syrian civil war. Always a good sign. Quote, anyone doing business with Iran that can have any link to UAVs or ballistic missile developments or the flow of arms from Iran to Russia should be very careful and do their due diligence. The U.S. will not hesitate to use sanctions. Speaking of which, Canada is going to get in on that game. It does look like Canada will be imposing sanctions related to the dissemination of Russian propaganda. So, you've ever been on the internet and you've had a conversation with a right-winger from Canada, they're probably going to bring up Russian propaganda. Oh, jeez. Yeah, that clip is insane. You've seen the drone fly right past the camera. Oh, dang, I missed that. I'm a little nervous putting that up. I'm sure I'll get clapped on YouTube. So bloody strict. It's like a clip on BBC, but you never know with YouTube. All right, so this is reported yesterday. Super short read. Canada is imposing sanctions on 34 individuals and one entity that it says are complicit in dissemination of Russian disinformation and propaganda. So I'm not crazy. As the number of Russian human rights abuses continues to increase, Canada is taking measures to counter the propaganda that attempts to excuse them, Canadian Foreign Minister Melanie Joly said in this statement. Haha, I told you guys, that there was Russian disinfo in Canada. It amazes me that they care enough about it. I think my favorite story about Russian disinformation is, I think, the Brexit campaign, or Wexit. Oh, God. From the Calgary Herald, man. Good old local news journalism. Canada, Wexit, this is from 2019, this is an old story. Canada, Wexit, and the federal election targeted in Russian disinformation campaign, academics say. So, if you had your nose close to the grindstone, you're paying attention to local news, you would have came across this. Looks like they're citing some New York Times. You're in favor of the Ottawa wall? We got to build a wall. Especially before the water wars break out. Here we go. Marcus Kolka, a Canadian expert in Russia and disinformation, said it was an article likely commissioned by the Russian government. Quote, there are agencies that are directly linked to the Kremlin, and if they're linked to the Kremlin, they're directly linked to Vladimir Putin and the president's office in Russia, said Kolka. Quote, it's to break us apart, to divide us, to push the left and right further apart from each other so that the divide becomes bigger and bigger. And it's not just Canada where they try to do that. It's actually honestly hilarious that they go out of their way to target Canada. We're such a small country, but we do argue over the Arctic Circle, like us, Russia, and like Sweden, Norway, like some Nordic country or something. Like we're all arguing over who has land rights, oil rights, especially in the Arctic Circle. And Russia's like, yeah, climate change, baby, give me that sweet, sweet offshore oil in international waters away from, Johnny Law. It's like, oh, jeez. And here in Canada, we got to defend it with with skidoos and war polar bears. Okay, so this is another story, I think, from CBC. We might have just watched that. We got a couple clips that are circulating on Twitter. This morning, Kyiv had been hit by a large wave of Iranian S-word drones. Soldiers, police, and civilians have all taken to the streets to try to shoot them down. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry, they're not taking cover. They're taking to the streets to start shooting at the drone. No. Oh man, Ukrainians are hard.
Блядь. Ты не видишь его? Стреляй, если увидишь.
Ukrainians are like, yeah, target practice, baby.
Летит. Вот там, Олег. Готовься. Стреляй по нему сразу.
Oh my god.
Вон летит, стреляй!
Whoa, okay, alright. Okay, buddy. Oh, there it is. He shot at someone's house, though.
Блядь,
Did you see that? He definitely hit someone's house. Oh, did he get it, though? Oh, he did! That's insane.
Блядь, страшно нахуй.
What is happening? What are we watching? It's the same drone? I don't know. That was from a very different perspective. Like the last one we saw, it was a bunch of people together. This guy looked like he was on his own. Like when he shot, he was shooting alone. But I mean, that's kind of what you get, right? Like what you see is what you get. It's war footage. You don't really know. Yeah, that was the bridge. It does have that, like, it does look kind of bridgy. Definitely looks kind of bridgy-like. Okay, so that was one piece. I'm not sure how much I can show of that. We got an address from Zelensky. It's not in English, so it's not point watching it, but there it is. We are dealing with terrorists, dozens of rockets, Iranian S-word drones. They have two aims. Energy infrastructure across the whole country. The other aim is people. They have chosen the time and targets to harm as many as possible. Yeah, that's insane. They're going for a morale victory, like actual, like crazy people. I mean, a lot of people might point to, make the comparison to the invasion of Iraq, where America did the shock and awe and just like flattened Iraq's infrastructure in like a day, like took away their electricity, their power, their water, their like everything. It was insane. And that's similar, but like Russia's going a step further and is like deliberately targeting civilian locations at civilian hours. Like it's really, really bad. Not good. Super bad, not good. One of those things where you're like, the world's going places, apparently. Things are picking up and not in a fun way. Okay. Shit. Moving on. That's it for the two main stories. I don't want to show too much more footage. I don't want to like accidentally show some TOS. Definitely on edge when it comes to YouTube, and we covered the main scoop. We're going to move on to a bit of economic stuff, a bit of Varia, and then maybe if I'm up for it, I can practice some poetry, because I got to get ready for the slam tonight, and it'd be nice to kind of get that fake stage time, or like practicing in a stage environment. So if you're down for that, that's what's coming up next. So yeah, this story broke, and it's insane. It's actually wild. Starbucks sued for accusing unionized workers of assault and kidnapping. Sorry, what? I'm sorry, you did the who now? What? Why? What'd you do? So yeah, we're headed fully into neo-feudalism, where corporations are just out of pocket. Starbucks Corporation was sued on Monday by 8 employees at a unionized South Carolina store who said the company falsely accused them of criminal conduct after they demanded a raise from their manager. Help! Help! I'm being oppressed. My workers are asking for a raise. The workers filed a lawsuit in South Carolina State Court against Starbucks and the manager at the store in Anderson, a few miles from Clemson University. It's also some like real Karen energy. They claim the manager urged police to charge them with assault and kidnapping. After the workers pressed her for a raise in August, the store's employees had voted 18-0 to unionize in June. At least 240 other Starbucks in the United States have unionized over the past year, and the company has been accused of illegal labor practices at dozens of locations. Starbucks has denied wrongdoing. In a statement, Starbucks in a statement provided by a spokesman said it was reviewing the lawsuit. Quote, no Starbucks partner has been or will be disciplined for supporting or engaging in lawful union activity. Kappa. But interest in a union does not exempt partners from following policies and procedures that apply to all partners. What does that even mean? It doesn't say anything. According to the complaint, the Anderson workers on August 1st presented the manager with a letter calling for a raise. Oh, geez, a letter. Is it one of those threatening letters? She then called the Starbucks district manager and falsely claimed the workers were preventing her from leaving the store, the plaintiffs claim. The manager reported the incident to law enforcement 2 days later, prompting a weeks-long investigation that included police visiting some of the workers' homes, according to the lawsuit. Wow. Imagine handing that in, and then a few days later, police show up like, so we're investigating you under suspicion of kidnapping? Like, what? Excuse me? The local sheriff's office ultimately concluded the workers had done nothing illegal, the plaintiff said. Starbucks released a statement on August 8th, saying the manager had felt unsafe and the workers were suspended with pay pending an investigation. The plaintiffs in Monday's lawsuit said the statement falsely suggested they had threatened the manager and engaged in criminal conduct. The workers accused Starbucks of defamation and abusing the legal process in violation of state law. They are seeking unspecified compensatory and punitive damages. What a wild story. Yo, managers do be wilding out. Like, there's no way I'm going to believe that a bunch of people who just unionized would then jeopardize that by, like, threatening the manager. Like, there's no way this story. You made it up. I don't believe you. Okay, next piece. And then we're going to move on. I thought this would be a fun little piece. Oh yeah, there's this, and then we'll get to some Good old conservative news from Canada. So this tech CEO fired 2 engineers for having second full-time jobs and warns they're part of a new trend. The software company Canopy said it recently discovered that 2 of its workers were also employed elsewhere. Can you imagine, everybody? People trying to work more than one job in order to make more money. Can you believe it? Jeez. Gosh. What an outrage. Holy cow. I can't believe it. I can barely believe it. It's not even real. You know, all this remote work, you know, we need to get some eye tracking and some finger tracking software. Software company Canopy has revealed it recently fired 2 newly hired engineers after discovering that they were already fully employed full-time somewhere else. Davis Bell said the unnamed developers who were already holding down jobs at an undisclosed big tech company were caught after management flagged problems with their performance. Bell wrote on LinkedIn, oh yeah, here it is. This is the real post. I hope you're sitting down. Oh, I can't do LinkedIn. It's probably going to dox me. This is not about side hustles or moonlighting, and said these were people holding down 2 full-time synchronous jobs trying to be in 2 meetings at once. Based. Financial services company Equifax. You know, the people who, determine your social class via this system that was made up in the 80s, and then they got hacked and, got all everybody's private information stolen, and now just there's rampant identity fraud that they can't control. Remember that? Hey, remember that company? Them and TransUnion Canada, both of which are, trying to close the barn doors after the horses left. Hey, remember that remember that company? Fuck, I hate Equifax so much, man. They recently sacked a number of staff for secretly juggling multiple full-time jobs. Equifax fired 24 members of staff after using its own product, the Work Number, to find that some staff were working multiple roles, in some cases up to 3. That's a Sigma grind set, everybody. The trend of taking on secret second jobs, also known as overemployment. Man, first it's quiet quitting, and now what? Overemployment. Now capitalism says you could be too employed. It's gaining support in some corners of the online world. Indeed, there are Reddit forums and even entire websites dedicated to helping remote workers find second jobs and hide them from their employers. Employers are not pleased. Bell described it as a, quote, new form of theft and deception, and not something in which an ethical, honest person would participate. Bell said this. Let's Talk Bell said this. The ones who ran a massive mental health campaign, even as employees were routinely saying to the press that they'd experienced incredibly difficult working conditions that led to the deterioration of their mental health. Yeah, that company. Oh, that one? They're finger wagging at you. You gotta be ethical and honest. You know how ethical and honest massive corporations are, like Equifax and Bell are. Golly gee, Canopy, I'm sure, is right up there with ExxonMobil. It's nothing worse than being shamed by, like, a massive soulless corporation. Being shamed by, like, a spokesperson. It's, like, ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous. All right, we're moving on. On to more silliness, because nothing's real and everything's a lie. Rex Murphy says words out of his fingertips, and it's not very smart. The sad irony of mental health awareness is that it usually makes people less aware of systemic changes that could improve people's mental health. Yeah, for sure. Puts a lot of, like, what is it, like, pay me a decent wage and I might not have mental health issues. And oftentimes corporations will try to make it something of personal responsibility. Like they'll rely upon our individualistic society to try to put the onus, the moral responsibility of your mental health on you, and we're going to try our best to help you get there, but you know, ultimately it's your, rather than fix the material conditions that are generally leading to the depression. Yo, thanks for the follow, Play Arena. You're a little weirder. Oh, welcome to the stream. Yeah, I mean, yeah. How's it going? Howdy. Say hi to the new chat. So Rex Murphy, famous smart person from Canada. He's like, man, you know those truckers demanding freedom? I am Arabic on Kuwait. Oh, cool. Welcome. Nice to meet you. We're gonna do this story, and then I'm actually gonna do some poetry later, so that might be a little different. Might be a little interesting. I'm looking for some poets who speak Arabic, actually. But you gotta live in Montreal for the show. So Rex Murphy is like, hey, could we have just given the people who are calling for Trudeau to resign more power and privilege? Could we just, you know, those people who shut down parts of the country because they didn't understand how our provincial healthcare systems work? Could we have given them more oxygen and supported them even more? That's what Rex Murphy wants to know. He's curious. I have not watched in detail thus far the inquiry into the invocation of the Emergencies Act. As a reasonable caution, I fear trauma by proxy. He's talking about the public inquiry into the use of the Emergencies Act, and he's already trembling. He's trembling and shaking. Oh boy. There are stories that have already come out of the hearings that would leave the most resilient and courageous mentality diving under the bedclothes. Months after the invaders left, there are some in Ottawa who still suffer from phantom honks. Others retain horrible memories of protesters, obviously from Alberta, sitting in the high cabs of their mechanized transport listening to country music within yards of the Chateau Laurier. As has been widely said, you had to be there. My guy, man, my guy, you're ridiculous. It was a moment in Canadian history that belongs with the fabled Battle of Plains of Abraham, the War of 1812, and the election of Stephen Harper. Like, this is like such you crazy pro. I'm pro freedom. I'm a real freedom lover. No, I'm reading this ironically. It's really common for conservatives to be like, hey, how dare you say that you're offended by my clearly obnoxious and rude behavior? I'm going to be even more rude and obnoxious to prove that you'll call anything rude and obnoxious. And it's like, how do I get through to this person? Meantime, there were a few purely incidental questions which, when enough time has passed, might be asked. Man, this guy loves his commas. Holy cow. If, of course, they do not restir the horrors of the night of the long honks. Dude, didn't people get caught bringing, like, hardcore guns to the border and stuff? Like, what are you talking about? Question one is, can we regard the truckers' protest as an actual national emergency? That's a fair question. I think that's a good question to ask, sure. I do not wish to diminish the centrality of Ottawa in the least, nor would I even hint that the discomforts felt by some on the upper floors of Ottawa condominia or flashbacks of 18-wheelers blaring country music do not warrant some therapeutic response. Dude, you just spent a couple paragraphs dunking on them. What are you talking about? But quietly, and with the greatest empathy, he says, after mocking people, I might question whether that amounted to a 3-week traffic jam on a few Ottawa streets and some sing-alongs actually constituted a threat to the sovereignty of a great nation. I don't know, man, if you're going to kind of minimize it before we get to the meat of the question. In other words, was it just an Ottawa problem, as opposed to a direct and menacing challenge to the whole government of our nation, which alone could justify the imposition of the Emergencies Act? I mean, the fact that it was happening in Alberta too, in Coots, like, you want to tell me about emoji Twitch Arabic? I don't know much about Arabic side of Twitch. The only Arabic Twitch streamer who's really awesome, you should check out, is Denims. Denims is pretty great. Let's see if this works. Yeah, go check out Denims. And she's a lefty. She's Arab. She's super based. She was kind of like the first person I saw on Twitch. I was like, wow, you can actually develop like a really wholesome, wonderful community. From my non-Canadian perspective, it seemed like a despotic move. I'm never in favor of protests being shut down unless they're to the point people are dying and shit. Yo. Yo, your emote game is intense. It's some intense emote. Emoji. Yo, please teach me. Please teach me. My emote game needs to improve. Some of these are good. Some of these are trash. Some of these are incredible. Because right now, like when you subscribe, you get 5 emotes, but they're not like, I haven't modified them. I haven't made them uniquely mine. You know what I mean? Like I still got some work to do. A lot of this stuff looks like from like WhatsApp side of the internet. That was one thing that really surprised me when I made a friend from South America and she used a lot of WhatsApp emojis. There's a different libraries, so you got like different reactions. It was very interesting. So yeah, in terms of like the whole despotic thing, it's a fair question because like civil liberties groups in Canada are like, yo, this was pretty wild and crazy. I can't believe you done did this. But on the other side of things, you know, the police couldn't, they clearly weren't in control of the situation. They just like were unable to do the thing. So from what I understand, they needed to. Is this the ooh? Check that border. There weren't buildings on fire. No, there was 2 like key incidents that sort of like upped things. So like the Coots, Alberta thing was massive. There was a blockade that was happening there, and men with guns were going, and they got stopped by the RCMP. And the timeline's important here because that might have gotten, the barricade might have gotten taken down before the Emergencies Act. So the timeline there is super important for us to like drill down onto. There are citizens voicing their disapproval of their government. If you cannot redress your government, you are not a free people. Within reason, right? Like, as somebody who comes from, or I don't come from Montreal, but as somebody who has been to many a protest, protests happen usually on the weekend. Like almost every single, literally almost pretty much every single protest I've ever been to had a beginning, a middle, an end, a path, usually through the city. There were speeches at either end. The only one I wouldn't say was the climate change march in Montreal, which had 500,000 people, and it was still only a weekend long. So when you're making good points, but you're making them in the abstract. When you drill down to the specifics and you say, wait a minute, do people have the right to redress the government and be causing harm to other citizens? That's where things get sticky. I don't think the average Canadian would say that you're allowed to cause harm with your protest. Most people are saying you're allowed to cause discomfort. You're allowed to ruin people's days, make traffic slow, be annoying. But it's got to be within restraint. It can't be without limit. And these people were going on and on and on. They were purposeless. Like their actual requests were sometimes meaningless, absolutely incoherent noise. Like, we demand the federal government change the Ontario provincial healthcare. It's like, that's not how things work. What are you doing? Like, go to Toronto, go over there. And then they went to Toronto and look what happened. It didn't go well for them. And as soon as you realize that it wasn't about the protest, it was about like applying cultural force, it very quickly became clear what this was about. Like Toronto handled them by saying no heavy traffic allowed in the downtown core. You're more than welcome to protest. Protest only lasted a few days. But in Ottawa, where the police were surprised and heavy machinery was able to make it to the downtown core and lock it down from like a strategic and a tactical viewpoint, the police couldn't do much about it. And that protest lasted weeks and weeks and weeks without any endpoint in mind. except to take down the government. Like literally one of their requests, which Rex Murphy apparently is super A-okay with, was to take down the government, which is insane. We just had an election. Like I don't care how important your protest is. We just had an election. That supersedes your protest. I'm sorry. Ottawa's in the middle of nowhere. Yeah, for sure. Like, it's a really like wide street town, cozy, not a lot of stuff happening in Ottawa. It is the place to go to demand a redress, but most people judge your protest based on the coherence of your request, like the reality behind it, and like how you conduct yourselves. It's cool as shit being like 30 minutes from the middle of the woods. I would live in Ottawa just so I could skate up the river to get where I need to go. That's always a really I think I've done it once when my brother lived there for school, or at least got to see it. Vote JREG. I don't know who that is, but okay. You seem opinionated about it, so everybody go vote JREG. He can build the auto wall. Yo, we do need to build a wall between Canada and America. They're coming for our water. We can't be caught with our pants down. It's not like the Great Lakes are going to turn to ice and they won't get access to it, you know. Okay, let's get back to this story. In other words, was it just an Ottawa problem? This is a good question. I don't like Rex Murphy, but like, yeah. If we wanted your water, we'd take it. Iraq 2.0. Well, actually, the thinking is you're just going to drain the Great Lakes. You're just going to drain the Great Lakes. Like, that's all it's going to happen. And Canada's going to rely on our, like, our water table, our reservoir systems. But yeah, provided America stays a country for longer than 10, 20 years, because y'all looking like you're about to break off into 4 different pieces. So California can be thirsty. California gonna come take water from, I don't know, the Republic of the United States. Okay, so was the blockade... Oh, I should change the main subject thing. Oh, man. Main subject. Freedom Convoy! And maybe we go check out the trial, or the inquiry. Freedom! I was so big into the Freedom Convoy. That shit was so funny. I even have the cat. It's like over there. Okay, as opposed to a direct and menacing challenge to the whole government of our nation, which alone could justify the imposition of the Emergencies Act. Okay, so was this just an Ottawa problem? He says it's obvious. As the truck insurrectionists were on their way to the capital, or even when they arrived, why was there absolutely a full refusal by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his cabinet to meet with them? This is like one of those questions that's like so insanely framed. Like the reason people called them insurrectionists, that he puts into quotes as if it's supposed to be like ironic, but it's actually like a direct quote, is because as their stated goal, it was to remove Trudeau from power after an election. Like, it was, that's not how things work. Do you know what a democracy is, man? Oh, it's true. We don't really have many guns. Well, we have a lot of, Canadians are actually pretty well armed. I don't think you realize this, but it's not like America, but we sure as shit, we got some of the best snipers in the world. Just like, actually, Dirt Cash, you might be joking, but Danielle Smith was just elected, and she believes in Alberta splitting off. Al-Brexit, as I'm calling it. But yeah, let me just update the Twitch thing, because I'm saying we're talking about Amaranth, but we're clearly talking about the Freedom Convoy, public trials, Fallout, yada. Greater Montana. I'm going up to North Dakota. Yeah, Danielle Smith just said that the unvaccinated are the most discriminated against group. That was a really funny arc, totally normal and based. So yeah, let's finish this silly editorial from Rex Murphy. Yeah, and then she apologized for it like immediately, and it was like the most ham-fisted, like, I'm sorry, I said I got caught. Like, it was not even a good apology. It's like, I do believe that minorities deserve to be... She apologized. Do you want to see it, Carol? Also, how are you doing? It was really funny. I can't believe I didn't read it on stream. I had a good laugh over it. Apology, unvaccinated. Yeah, it's super funny. Clarifies comments. And also Notley called on her. No! You gotta watch out for those online feuds. They'll live in your head rent free.
We kind of expected the obvious correction, and instead yesterday there was a very pointed refusal to acknowledge the damage that her remarks has done.
Okay, this looks like she's saying this after Daniel Smith clarifies. Where's the clarification? Here it is. This is so good. This is so good. Oh my god. I don't know how you do this. Second day of power. Second day of power, everybody. Statement regarding press conference comments, October 12th, 2022. Yesterday, I made comments regarding the discrimination unvaccinated individuals have suffered through over the past 2 years. My intention was to underline the mistreatment of individuals who chose not to be vaccinated and were punished by not being able to work, travel, or in some cases see loved ones. I want to be clear that I did not intend to trivialize in any way the discrimination faced by minority communities and other persecuted groups both here in Canada and around the world, or to create any false equivalencies to the terrible historical discrimination and persecution suffered by so many minority groups over the last decades and centuries. It's so bad. It's so bad. Yo, people do be bad out there in the world. I didn't mean to do that. Them, they're bad people. We all know that we don't like bad. We need to actively work together as Albertans and Canadians to end all discrimination against all. It's so fucking bad. She's gonna end all the discrimination and all the racism, chat. We could do it. She's solving it in real time. She's figured it out. All we gotta do, everybody, pull together now. Everyone in one direction. It's, oh man, now that I've sat on this for a few days and I've had a chance to like see other news and come back to it, wow, this is so bad. Oh my god, I'm cracking up. Nothing is discriminated now. We have ended, this is like the Texas law that, or Texas governor who's like, but yeah, we're just gonna outlaw SA. We're just gonna get rid of it. I am committed to listening, learning, and addressing the issues affecting minority communities. Over the next few days, my office will be reaching out to set up meetings with minority community stakeholders so I can better understand the different concerns of their individual communities. Racism zero, Danielle Smith, what? Yeah, I know, right? She's like, yo, you're right. I should probably reach out to minority communities in this province. That's a good, you know what, everybody? I'm glad I made this mistake, because if I hadn't, I wouldn't have reached out to the minority communities, everybody. That was a good choice after all. It's all worked out in the end, you know? You just gotta give peace a chance. I'm dead. Oh god, I completely forgot this happened. It's so dumb. So dumb.
To hundreds of thousands of Albertans who have experienced discrimination in so many ways, and a failure to understand the damage that those remarks have done to our economic profile internationally and nationally. So what it says to me is we have a premier who is incapable of demonstrating good judgment initially, and also incapable of understanding when she's made a critical mistake. This is a big job, being premier. She's no longer a radio show host being able to channel whatever inner fancy strikes her at any moment. When she says things, people listen and people are impacted. And it's her job to respect the job she has just managed somehow to secure.
Somehow. Yo, Rachel Notley is like, how? How is this person the leader? What is happening? Okay, all right. Let's get closer to the public inquiry. I do believe there is some good footage to check out. There's some cross-examination. And we can also... yeah, here we go. We were listening to the lead plaintiff in the class action lawsuit get cross-examined by a lawyer for the Freedom Convoy. It was a ride. It was something else. Right wing. Actually, you know what's a better idea? Let's watch the public inquiry through the lens of some right wingers. Yeah, here we go. We're gonna watch. Let's see if Viva Fry has some very hinged comments about this. He was all over the Pfizer stuff, I'm sure. But
Joe Rogan literally at the epicenter of the culture war. Who would have ever thunk?
Oh God. All right. So looks like he stops it and watches it a little bit. There's a lot of him talking. But let's see if we can... yeah, all right, let's go.
Center of the culture war, nobody would have believed you. If you had suggested this 15 plus years ago...
What? There's two videos playing on the same tab. Odd. How did that happen?
The community that faced the most restrictions on their freedoms in the last year were those who made a choice not to be vaccinated. I don't think I've ever experienced a situation in my lifetime where a person was fired from their job or not allowed to watch their kids play hockey.
Is Viva Fry going to defend this?
Or not allowed to go visit a loved one in long-term care or hospital. Or not allowed to go get on a plane to either go across the country to see family or even travel across the border. So they have been the most discriminated against group that I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. That's a pretty extreme level of discrimination that we have seen. I don't take away any of the discrimination that I've seen in those other groups that you mentioned, but this has been an extraordinary time in the last year. In
My brain's melting. Save me, chat.
And I want people to know that I find that unacceptable, that we are not going to create a segregated society on the basis of a medical choice. The community that faced the most...
This is segregation 2.0. Vaccination boogaloo.
Restrictions on their
Can
freedoms.
you believe it, by the way? What an impeccable statement. Impeccable?
Impeccable. Viva Fry is gonna defend this shit. That's so good. Wow. How do people take this guy seriously?
Required no clarification. And I'll tell you why in a second, because the clarification added nothing that was already not in her original statement. This is the new premier of Alberta, Danielle Smith.
Yeah, exactly. That's why everyone's saying it's a non-apology.
At her press conference,
she learned nothing.
She says what I think a lot of Canadians are thinking.
No projection, everybody. There's no projection going on here.
And I'm saying this, people, as one of the clean, one of the individuals who was, in theory, allowed to go to restaurants, go to movie theaters, could have showed the QR code, but made a decision not to.
The QR codes are taking over our country. We used to be free. We used to make things like menus.
One damned exception when kids were involved, but she didn't have to say anything more than this, because this is what people were thinking. It's why people elected her. And let's listen to it one more time.
The community that faced the most restrictions on their freedoms in the last year.
In the last
were
year.
Those who made...
Not historically, not throughout the history of humankind, in the last year.
Made a choice not to be...
Bro, do you think that minority communities also could be unvaccinated? They don't stop being a
vaccinated. I don't think I've ever experienced...
It's also not a choice. You're choosing to be unvaccinated, you fucking moron.
A situation in my lifetime.
How do I
where
explain
a person
to
was
him?
Fired from their job, or not allowed to watch their kids play hockey, or not allowed to go visit a loved one in long-term care or hospital, or not allowed to go get on a plane.
And by the way, I'll go get my kid's gym mat to pad up the room. I knew personally, not friend of a friend, personally, people who chose not to get vaccinated literally could not watch their kids play hockey. Had to drop
they
them
chose.
off in the parking lot and sit outside while their kids play.
Wow, choices do be having consequences. Yo, wow, choices.
Hockey. I know personally.
What a wild.
People who were not allowed visiting people in the hospital.
The hospital didn't let people go into a room with an infectious patient? What is this dictatorship we're living in? It's a medical tyranny. Like, I don't know, like what he's trying to say here, man. He sounds so ridiculous.
These are not like friend of a friend, one exceptional circumstance.
Consequences.
These things happened.
How is this fair?
A lot.
To either go across the country to see family or even travel across the border. So they have been the most discriminated against group that I've ever witnessed in my lifetime. That's a pretty...
In my lifetime. So all this, like, clarification about how it was just in the past year, she just undid all of that contextualization that somehow made it okay and revealed, no. She actually is saying that of all the oppression she's seen in her life, it's not all those graves that were turned up in residential schools. No, definitely not that.
The extreme level of discrimination that we have seen. I don't take away any of the discrimination that I've seen in those other groups that you mentioned.
Yo, wait until she finds out about residential schools in Alberta, man.
The apology that the mob browbeat out of Danielle Smith. I don't take away anything from any of the other groups. I need the black gym mat and put it back up here. Black gym mat, because that was the fancy acoustic method. I don't take away anything from any other groups. I haven't seen black people getting fired in the last year for being black. I have seen black people not allowed to go into Canadian Tire because, statistically speaking, which is why it was a racist, unscientific policy in the first place, certain demographics were less likely to get vaccinated. So what was, in theory, a race-neutral policy, in practice was not, in reality was not. But she's saying here, I haven't seen, Jews not allowed into McGill University. I haven't seen blacks getting fired at all. It happened, and it was atrocious when it did.
There's like some extremely damning reports that came out in the past 5 years detailing extensive racial profiling in Toronto, you absolute moron.
In the last year, that's not the type of discrimination we've seen.
What are you
So I'm not
talking
taking anything
about?
away from other groups historically.
It didn't go away.
Who have suffered discrimination. Oddly enough, same groups experiencing discrimination again because of this.
But this has been an
No shit, Carol. Interesting. The Human Rights Council report on Toronto, the stop and frisk one, it came out like just not too long ago. I remember reading it and being like, it's so bad. It's so bad. Yeah, I don't know. It's because they write it off and they never actually like look at the evidence that is being presented by the body. They just do the thing where it's like, oh, it's coming from the Human Rights Council, therefore it's stupid. And they don't actually do their due diligence and read the evidence presented. Yeah. And then like, they just don't have that information. And they're just built. It's confirmation bias. You're not looking for racism. You're never going to find it. You're never going to find it. Okay.
extraordinary time in the last year in particular. And I want people to know that I find that unacceptable, that we are not going to create a segregated society on the basis of a medical choice.
No. We're not going to create a segregated society.
So I just wanted to kind of start this off. I'm sure he's going to get to the freedom convoy. Let's skip ahead. He's very long-winded, as you can see. This is some Matt Walsh nonsense. All right, there we go. Yeah, this is what I was watching the other day. If this gets too tiresome, or we don't want the right-wing lens, I'll just switch over to the public inquiry itself. But he might add something
It's a
to the
pin
discussion.
tweet. That's when you pin the tweet, it doesn't appear in your timeline.
Okay, buddy.
Well, you know, there were very large.
So if you're not familiar, the woman on the right is the lead plaintiff in the class action lawsuit that was brought against the trucker convoy by like citizens of Ottawa, basically saying like you're interfering with my ability to like work and stuff. It was a pretty interesting.
Trucks parked everywhere, and in some of these instances, they were parked right next to some high-rise condo buildings. And as a result, some people may have gotten some cartons of eggs and, you know, had their little retaliation and frustration because really, what else could they do?
Can you describe, sorry?
Really, what else could they do?
Yeah, that's
something about the demeanor of Zexi Lee's testimony that drives me nuts.
Describe what you mean by the egg throwing.
Well, you know,
Look at.
Well,
there were.
you know.
I had never seen her or heard her before.
Based.
And I'm now seeing a very, very nasty person. I'm seeing a very, very mean-spirited, dishonest individual. And
Can you imagine coming to that conclusion within seconds of...
you know, some people might have...
Very large trucks parked
Humans are so complex and are like wildly different in even different situations.
everywhere. And
come on, teenagers lie to their parents. What are you talking about?
in some of these instances, they were parked right next to some high-rise condo buildings.
High-rise condo. In some of it, she's so proud of her wrongdoing.
And as a result,
it's not we did something wrong. It's as a result. They were parked next to some buildings and some eggs just fell out of a window.
Well, some people may have gotten some cartons of eggs and, you know, had their little retaliation in frustration because really, what else could they do?
So there was vandalism.
So he's just rewatching this same clip over and over, getting increasingly angry about it. Damn, man. I'm so glad I'm not a right-winger. I just feel like it ages you faster. I find I just am here for the laughs. I'm looking for like the really funny moment so I can have a good fit. Like I had a good fit earlier with Danielle Smith. That's probably as good as it's going to get for the stream. But damn, man, I'd hate to be working myself into a fury every day.
There was violence at the protest. It just happened to come from angry Ottawa residents because, you know, what else could they do? Psycho.
Dude, egging is not psycho behavior. It's routinely used as a trope for young people doing bad things that are like not okay, but you know, not that bad either. Like toilet papering someone's house. Knock knock ginger.
Psycho. Man, what else could they do?
Ate my
So we
car.
had to like slash some tires. What else could we do? I'm only sending nasty rants to you, Viva. Your hair is frizzy. See, LOL, Royal Plague 45. I'm only sending nasty rants to you.
Okay, let's see if
Viva.
he actually
Thank
watches
you,
the inquiry.
Royal Plague.
No, just a 20-second
What else
clip.
could we do? Slashed. What else could we do? We had to beat them up because we wanted to have our little
This is such like a... Watch the actual whole thing, man. The best pill is the... Wait, what? Drop out of all politics and come to the realization that your vote and opinion really don't mean shit. There's no point in worrying about yourself or give an F about things that are beyond your control. I strongly disagree, Dirt Cash. I hate to give you the lib cuck retort, but I would say that in the long view of history, humans have very rarely given any amount of power whatsoever to the plebs, and democracy is one of the few formalized systems. It's not a good one, but it's the best of the worst, in which the average person does actually have some amount of power. And you know they have this amount of power by all the friggin' crazy laws and how much like attention is given to controlling our political systems. One way to look at it that I think is really convincing is check out the video by CGP Grey, Rules for a Ruler, in which he makes the argument, or like communicates someone else's argument actually, that when you have a democracy, the wealth of the nation is produced by the citizenry, and it gets really hard for like some sort of coup d'etat to happen, from some military force to come in and topple the head of the government and take over, because the wealth is in the production of the citizenry. And if they stop believing in the government, they stop producing, and therefore you can't steal the treasure as easily as like a nation that has like a single resource where voting doesn't really matter, because you can have juntas come in and do a coup d'etat and have direct access to the oil or the minerals or what have you. So democracy creates like this sort of... another way to look at it is look at the growth of Britain from like monarchy to democracy. That's a really interesting arc, as like Parliament carves out more and more power from the monarchy over like hundreds of years. Anyway, that's my
almost immediately, and
Democratic
I
Republics.
started to receive emails, and it was on social media.
Yeah, from what I understand in the research, like presidential systems are really like they're weaker. They're prone to the stuff we're seeing in America, where party politics starts to rip the system apart, and because there's so much power centered in the executive, you recreate that treasury that I was talking about, where you can actually lop off the head of the government and then like seize it in order to accrue a bunch of wealth for your compadres. Pure democracy. Yeah, I don't know if pure democracy is the answer either. I don't know.
Symbols of hatred, swastikas and Confederate flags. pride flags being, targeted. So there was fear.
So by the way, my takeaway when she's saying, it's because it's bullshit. Okay. And I'll tell you one thing. I knew of the story of the Nazi
It's definitely not a nervous tick.
flag and the Confederate flag. That's what got me to go down to document in real time live streaming. I didn't even hear at the time about, what did you say, trans flags? What did you say here?
Pride flags.
Pride flags.
Being, targeted.
Not only did I not hear of any pride flags being targeted, it didn't happen. There were people with pride flags and trans flags protesting with the protesters. There were gay activists with the protest, supporting the protest. This is...
You hear that, chat? Because in what he saw, therefore it never happened. That's how reality works. You don't get the Confederate flag thing? Oh, I can explain that to you. It's pretty simple. Like, American culture is just sort of invading and infecting Canadian culture. Viva still hanging on to the convoy, being a loving group. Yeah, I don't know what's going on, Dan. Kicking us away. Thanks for joining the stream. But it's there's no way he's gonna get off of this angry dragon, right? Like, it's way too much clout he got for his channel from live streaming it. So he's gonna milk that until the cow is, a dry husk. But he's really showing his bias here. Like, he's literally tone policing. Cause this 22-year-old spoke like a valley girl. Like, wow, buddy, you really got her. You really got her good. Like, calling her like a mean person because she doesn't talk like you. Like, yikes. I live in Ohio and make fun of dumb fucks who have them. Oh yeah, there's nothing more crazy than Confederacy flags in Union states and in Canada. Like, those two locations, you're like, what are you on, my boy? Every single cemetery is filled with dead Union soldiers. Yikes. Makes even less sense when you see them north of the border. Yeah, the Mason-Dixie line or whatever.
Darn pathological, in-your-face, shameless lie. It's a lie.
People just don't know their
history. So when I hear now, I know it's bullcrap.
Pride flags being, targeted. So there was fear. Certainly people that first weekend who were reporting back to me and calling me and emailing me.
Chat, how much work do you think it would take for us to find a clip of a Freedom Convoy person in Ottawa grabbing or trying to grab a pride flag? Do you think it would be hard to find? Do you think we could do it?
Fearful, but they were braced for it and, had been told that it would end on Monday and waited for that. So after Monday, when it didn't end, it just became, in the world.
Oh wow, that was fast.
Who were,
it's predictive. It's predictive right now because she's not even talking about her own knowledge.
Oh,
she's like, because I'm about to say something that I have no personal knowledge of. Other people told me.
Me and talking to me, they felt that they were under a great deal of threat.
Oh, threat, yeah.
Seniors reporting that they, had trouble going out.
Bullcrap.
They felt threatened when they went into
Lie.
a grocery store.
Lie.
It's so unhinged.
By the way,
he's not even taking a breath to listen to what she's saying and then assess it. He just immediately lie.
Also, demonstrably debunked lies. She went ahead, McKinney, and reaffirmed the stealing food from a homeless shelter lie.
Not being able to leave their apartments.
That was widely reported. What are you talking about?
One couple leave the downtown with a police escort on the first weekend. There was a pride flag in their window.
Lie.
Their apartment was targeted.
Lie that they were targeted.
Importantly, people who say that someone who is under oath is lying while they themselves are not under oath, pretty telling. Pretty telling stuff.
In the back step.
I interviewed
Eva Frey is yelling at his live stream saying these people are lying and they're like under oath and shit.
A trans individual at the protest, marching among the protesters.
Wow. Ooh, golly, you guys had yourselves a trans person. Golly. Wow, jeez.
I documented the pride flag being flown with pride at the protest. Lie, McKinney.
I can't believe this guy used to be a lawyer. It's incredible.
This is liar.
And then later that night, pickup truck.
He's actually upset. He's so sweaty.
Angry people in it came back and were harassing and yelling at them. So
liar.
They felt very unsafe, and we had a police escort them out. So it was, a general sense of fear.
Part of the reason I like watching right-wing TV is because you actually get a sense for why, where they're coming from.
Terror.
And
dismay that that they felt abandoned by their city and by their police.
You know, terror. They were
I guess there's a lot of like, you feel really good about yourself when you can say that someone else is lying, right? Like, I perceived through your shadows, through your mirage. Haha, I see you now. You know what I mean? You feel confident.
Homeless. The convoy was feeding the homeless. You know,
The convoy stole from the homeless, my guy.
how do I get out of this
So
window?
there
people?
was
No.
that first week.
Hold on, what's my problem?
It's
How do
so
I close this
deranged.
window? What the fudge is my problem? I don't. And I'm gonna back up on the loser.
Oh, boomer moment.
Liar.
Boomer moment.
A
And he gave up.
pathological liar.
Gave up. Imagine
Like,
calling someone
repeating-
on this stand a
Remain open
pathological
'cause
lawyer.
Coffee is sort of an easy.
Okay. He finally figures it out.
Good hope.
Go back.
Of the incident around one of the homeless residents who was assaulted and beaten up, and where food was stolen at Shepherds of Good Hope. There were a number of incidents, too many to give you a full description, but there were a number of coffee shops that were remaining open because coffee is sort of an easy pick up and go environment. And there were a number of incidents where crowds would come into these coffee shops and take over the space and threaten staff. And there are a number of encounters.
Oh, is that so? Gosh, what an odd coincidence that coffee shops suddenly had very aggressive patrons, probably unrelated.
Burrito Street and in the Byward Market specifically.
So these were all incidences that were reported to you by constituents or business owners?
Business owners, the staff, and we would take that information, ensure that it was appropriately reported to the authorities, and we'd ask for clarification. At some point through the process, we had a liaison officer who we hope, we were conveying that, and we hope that was following up on these incidents.
They had to assign a whole person just to communicate the amount of like disturbances caused by these yokels.
But they kept happening. They kept happening. I describe them as microaggression because they
microaggressions.
It wasn't the punching in the face, but it was all these microaggressions in transit, walking to businesses, childcare, homeless shelters. A number of these incidents that created an unsafe environment for residents and business.
White man is unfamiliar with the term microaggression, goes into a conniptic fit because he's being asked to learn a new word and apply it in a new context. Very smart man here.
Operators in the area.
Microaggressions.
I got it.
Trudeau invoked the Emergencies Act for microaggressions. By the way, look, I'm going to close this down here. I want to make sure not to. The Shepherds of Good Hope. The story was bunk.
Okay,
I'm trying
show
to
me.
find.
Show me your evidence, buddy.
Trying to find.
Because
the story.
It was widely reported.
They claimed that Ottawa protesters assaulted a homeless person and stole food from a food bank. There was so much food.
The food bank claimed that. The food bank themselves put out a statement saying exactly that. So, are you about to call food bank liars too?
For the protesters, the story doesn't pass the smell tests.
Not a good look, Sweaty. You just listened to somebody saying it was widely reported that people were being, let's say, rude, impolite. If you don't like microaggression, they're being rude and impolite in many different stores. And somehow it blows your mind. It doesn't pass the smell test that people might have taken advantage of a food bank. Okay, buddy.
Let me just see here.
If you say so.
Update. City News did an update.
Okay. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was a...
See if I can do this in real time.
He says it's bunk.
Oh, and by the way, the man that you just heard talking later on is going to pretend he doesn't speak English fluently enough to understand the question. We're going to get there. Here, let me see. This is the update.
Okay.
Oh, I'm definitely not signed. So this is the story. Update: Convoy protesters.
Do you guys not have Targets to steal from? I thought Targets went out of business in Canada. I thought Target Canada, like, c'est kaput. It doesn't exist anymore. Let me double check on that.
Seeking food, accused of harassing soup kitchen staff. This weekend's events have caused significant strain on our operations at an already
January 30.
The staff and volunteers at an Ottawa homeless shelter say they were harassed by members of the truck convoy protesters on Saturday, who were demanding meals from the shelter's soup kitchen. The Shepherd of Good Hope homeless shelter took to social media to share their experience, yada, yada, yada. In the statement posted on Twitter, they say a member of the shelter was assaulted and the security guard was subsequently threatened and called racial slurs while attempting to help.
Okay. I have no reason to not believe them.
The staff and our volunteers were exposed to verbal harassment and pressure from protesters seeking meals. While we are not certain of exact numbers, the demands for meals and verbal altercations continued for several hours over the dinner period.
I'm pulling up reports from CNBC why Target Canada was a massive failure. So yeah, you know.
Let's see here if it's.
He's like desperately searching through this article for his piece of truth. How can you say nothing bad happened on part of the convoy peep? Seems more far-fetched. Hey man, like, I think we gotta all start becoming very aware of how these engagement algorithms are piping us into alternate realities. It's becoming increasingly unhinged where, like, as you can see, like, he's just skimming through the information to find the piece. Like, it's confirmation bias. It's such clear confirmation bias. It's really embarrassing.
At least one.
It happens, right? You go down certain rabbit holes, you start feeling convinced, you start feeling that righteous anger, you start tapping that vein. It feels good to tap that vein. You tap it every day. All of a sudden, you're getting angry at some 22-year-old who launched a class action lawsuit, like you know the person or something.
Local business rallied around the shepherds. Okay, fine, yada yada.
End of the article. Dude, where's your piece that they updated it and it was all bunk? I thought you were gonna say it was all bunk.
I want to try to find the debunking, as if there was never any evidence above and beyond the social media post.
Yeah, man, he's expecting he's expecting high quality evidence. Usually when people put out official statements with their official Twitter with the blue check mark, that is evidence. That is literally a piece of evidence. You use that to inquire further, or to like, if there's no other evidence on the other side that this is made up, or, you know, this didn't happen, or some footage comes out, like, it's pretty clear you're really, really working hard.
Yeah, I'm sure the protesters called racial slurs to the police. Nothing about this story made any sense.
The Freedom Convoy, there's racism there? No, it's impossible.
Preposterous from the beginning. It was as idiotic as oh gosh, as idiotic as the Nazi flag and the Confederate flag. But
you should finish that thought. You mean idiotic as those flags being flown through the Freedom Convoy?
They ran with it. But you got to hear this. We're going to get to the convoy. I think I time-stamped.
Like, the hardest part with that is, like, even if they were chased out immediately, and I think that might actually be the story. Like, the people who flew those flags weren't necessarily welcomed, from what I understand. I could be wrong on that, though. The problem is, why are they showing up? Like, what about your movement is got them vibing and being like, yeah, man, maybe we will be accepted? It's like, you still got that problem on your hands, no matter how it played out.
Public hearings. That's day 2. Okay, here we go. Where did I timestamp this one?
Nazis at a right-wing movement? What?
Here we go. Listen to this, people. Listen to this. We'll watch it in real time together.
He's giddy.
Did I just close down
I'd like
the
to say
stream?
good morning, but it's good evening.
I'll see if I can pull it up
So
live,
I'll
see if it's
start,
on day
with
3 or not.
yourself, by introducing yourself. Oh, please. First, hi, I'm Brendan from Alberta.
Oh, this guy is funny.
I'm counsel for Freedom Corp, which is an organization that represents protesters as well as the truckers that were in your city in 2022. So, Mr. Fleury, I want to start just asking you a few questions, if you don't mind. Do you remember sending an email on February 4th, 2022 to Kim Ayotte, Steve Kalinakokis, Keith Egile, Serge Arpin, Lucio Coulard, and Liberal Member of Parliament for Ottawa, Senator Yazir Naqvi, with a tweet from the former federal attorney general, Mr. Alan Rock, that stated the city should obtain an injunction to restrain the truck horns on the basis of nuisance. Do you remember sending that email?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna skip forward a little bit here.
So that's under the rules. Means verbal
knowledge.
You know, it is funny, but it's not.
Here we go.
Francophone. Don't.
The term you referred to as microaggression. Is
Listen
that
to
right?
this.
I believe so. Multiple times.
Okay. Is microaggression, is your understanding of that
Listen-
it means
listen to
verbal
this
and environmental
liar.
slights?
Je suis francophone. Donc, si vous voulez être spécifique sur les mots, il va falloir que vous...
I'm francophone, so if you want to ask me specific things about words, you're going to have to ask me in French. You're asking me a theory about how to define something. Unfortunately,
By the way,
that is super fair. Are you insane? What are you talking about? This is a public inquiry. He wants to make sure he's being absolutely specific. And the guy's asking for a definition of a word. Are you? Yeah. What? What's the problem here? This is Canada, man.
Wait, this man right now,
Francophobia,
disingenuously invoking his language as a barrier, playing to his language, is
clearly not everyone was there for the same agenda. Yo, absolutely. It was pretty clear from watching the live feeds. Only commonality was the freedom chant. Yeah, for sure, Punch Drunk. I mean, if you were watching my stream, we watched almost all the live streams every single day. I was absolutely hooked on the stuff. And it was incredibly aimless. That was my main takeaway, was just how little of a coherent thread there was through the disparate movements, the different ideologies at play. They were all like right-wing and like culture jamming and rah Trudeau must go, but like other than that, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know, man. It was really, it just looked like conservatives had partying out without much consideration for anyone else's needs or desires. That was kind of my main takeaway.
Exactly the same type of exploitation that was systematically done as relates to gender, ethnicity, sexual orientation. They use it as a political tool in disingenuous manners. This guy,
you hear that? It's a political tool.
I just
Words.
testified for at least, I don't know, an hour? I don't know, they're testifying all afternoon. His English might be better than mine. It's not.
So
you've heard him testify.
In your
and all of a sudden now, oh, I'm gonna pull out the language card and pretend I don't understand what you're asking.
evidence, you made use of a term you referred to as microaggression. Is that right?
Super bad faith.
Multiple times?
I believe so, multiple times.
Microaggression is your understanding of that?
Je suis francophone. Je comprends rien de votre langue anglaise là. Parle-moi français.
Francophone. Donc,
Wow, man. This dude is from Montreal, eh? Viva Fry is from Montreal, so he has no room. He's got no, like, he's got nothing here, man. He doesn't have a leg to stand on.
si vous voulez être spécifique sur les mots, va falloir...
I'm francophone, so if you want to ask me specific things about words, you're going to have to ask me in French. You're asking me a theory about how to define something. Unfortunately, my knowledge of English terminology is perhaps not sufficiently appropriate.
Scheiße.
Seems pretty fair to me.
Look at
Je m'appelle Brendan.
I do the
My
same
name is
thing.
Brendan.
He
I
doesn't
have to talk in English when it comes to like very serious stuff that gives me anxiety, like talking to the government or the bank or something.
speak French, by the way. When he pronounced the last name of
I think it is funny, but it's not. I am doing my very best to answer clear questions in English. You asked me a very specific question on a definition.
You asked me
I'm
very
saying
specific.
ask me, clarify in French, and I'm glad to specify if it is yes or no.
Wow.
The specificity of the nuance of a word, I'm uncomfortable in responding to your question.
The specificity of the nuance of a word, I'm uncomfortable responding to.
Yeah, it's gobble. It doesn't even sound like a really well-constructed sentence because he's speaking in his second language.
Coming from someone who says, I don't speak English good enough to answer.
Yeah, that sentence was gobbledygook. The specificity of the nuance? What
that question.
What does that mean?
What a pathological,
redundant.
shameless, exploitive liar.
What of the words
Wow,
that I
man.
put to you?
Some bullshit. Hey, man, I mean, I don't know. I absolutely sympathize. Public inquiry, lots of people asking you questions. You're getting cross-examined. What you say for what a word means can have huge ramifications for the rest of your testimony. Absolutely want to make sure you're laying the bottom row of the bricks correctly. And to do so in your own language is quite literally like you're allowed. This is Canada. You're allowed to respond in your native tongue unless you're native, apparently, unless you're indigenous, oh geez. But you're a politician. It's your job. But is this an Ottawa politician? I don't know. I don't know where you're coming from, Durkash. Like in Ottawa, there's a lot of French people who know enough English that they can run for office, but they might have a larger constituency that's French, but they know enough English to get by. Expecting a specific level of proficiency in another language when it comes to a public inquiry is really odd. Like this is legal shit. This is as high risk as it gets. People are going to be very careful with their words. I found Viva because I watch lawyers on YouTube and like that he, as a Canadian speaking with American lawyers, how much he has really shifted. Well, Punch Drunk, he's not even a lawyer anymore. You go digging and he hasn't practiced law for like years, but he still goes around calling himself a lawyer. Yeah, but he's asking for a clarification of the question in French, right? Like, okay, like if you're having a problem with microaggression, let's talk about it. But what's your question? Give it to me in French. He could have been less evasive and been like, hey, for my comfort, I'm going to try to answer this question in French. Ceci est mon définition de le mot microaggression. Ça veut dire X, Y, Z, whatever. but he's probably being dodgy for a good reason. Like, this guy is trying to drill down on a word that has a definition. Like, why do you need someone to define a word that's been defined? This isn't like the word microaggression isn't exactly new. When was it invented? I'm actually curious now. 1970?
So mean.
Dude, the word's 50 years old. Yeah, it's not a new word. It's just commonly used in parlance. That's the new thing. He's using his understanding of the word to legislate? Wait, what do you mean? To legislate? He passed a law based on microaggressions?
Verbal
I'm
and
clipping this.
environmental and slights is confusing.
Respond in French. Listen to her telling him to respond in French.
Dude, why are you angry about that? That's such an odd thing to be upset about. Respond in French. Yeah, that sounds like she's in your corner.
Is there, which one are you confused about?
Listen to them exploiting identity politics for political.
No, it's not a misunderstanding or somebody wanting to be clear about their speech. It's abusing identity politics. Like, it's always such a cynical interpretation, man. He is kind of an old Hassan Piker. He's a himbo as well, yeah.
Purposes. But does she not think we can see what she's doing? Catherine, we can see you. We can hear you. Weaponizing language, the way you weaponize and exploit sexual orientation, race, ethnicity.
Like, come on, guys. That's unhinged. That's like genuinely crazy stuff.
Whatever. Shameless. Like nobody's watching.
There's a
look
few,
at her.
so
Look at her.
means, verbal.
She says to him to speak in his mother tongue because he's clearly showing discomfort, and Viva Frey has a problem with that.
And environmental and slights is confusing.
Answer in French. Respond in French.
Dude, you're
Is there,
from
which one are you
Quebec.
confused about?
J'ai expliqué plusieurs fois.
I've already explained.
And he knows damn well that when he responds in French, this guy who doesn't speak French doesn't understand. I think.
Try to
You think?
express this, and I've explained this to the commissioner, that, to my mind, everything in the periphery of the red zone was what I would describe as being microaggressions. I could describe microaggressions to you.
Do it.
For example, go in front of somebody and pull their mask off.
That's assault.
I don't
That's
know
not a
how
microaggression.
We want to describe that as a definition, but that's an example
No,
of a
it's not.
microaggression. Walking into a restaurant, being asked to leave, and sitting down without having the right to stay.
Because you're a dirty unvaxxed. That's
Like, I don't know what angle you take this from. If a private business says you're not allowed in. And if you sit down and say, make me leave, yeah, that sounds like a microaggression. That sounds like you're escalating the conflict between you and the person who is doing what they want with their property. Man, even the thing I hate about listening to conservatives is that it makes me want to argue with them as a conservative. I'm like, yo, even your own principles would mean you don't take this take. Like, what are you talking about?
microaggression.
Somebody who's homeless. Beating somebody who's homeless. That's another microaggression.
Maybe
Another
he
type
doesn't
of
understand.
aggression.
You know what? I take it back. This guy's an idiot. He might not understand what microaggression is, because what he's describing is assault, and he's describing assaults that never happened.
That's why we do
but
these
his
things.
idea of microaggression.
Yeah, public inquiries, man. That's why this happens. Sometimes people have really dumb ideas in their heads. We gotta find out what they think they mean when they say something like microaggression. Fire cannot quench that fire. Yeah, that's fair.
Is when a restaurant owner says unvaxxed, get out of here, and they sit down nonetheless. That's a microaggression. No, that's not discrimination. That's a micro.
Okay, discrimination is based off of traits that you do not choose. People going around saying that anti-vaxxers are being discriminated against are fucking dumb. I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it. Like, it's really dumb. It's really dumb. I'm sorry, it's literally one of the dumbest positions you could take, because unless you have a medical condition that prohibits you from vaccination, it's quite literally one of our oldest sciences. It's one of the medical sciences that humans have been relying on for the longest to protect our societies. It's so incredibly moronic. You got to be thinking with a 16th century brain in order to make it make sense.
so much noise at such high volumes that you have to close down a daycare. That's another
Yeah.
kind of
Oh,
aggression.
won't someone think of the children?
That's how I've described aggressions,
That's macro.
Commissioner. I'm not a lawyer. I don't have a background in specifics, but I'm trying to use the terminology that I can to be as specific as possible to describe what I received as information and what I was able to see.
We are flawed vessels.
A pair of these so he can understand what I'm saying in English as well, please.
Oh, that's mean.
Oh, look, he does have a translation. And then how about that retort? Can we make sure that he has a translation so we can make sure he understands me? Because clearly there's problems here. Nice. Nicely done. That's about as petty and pathetic as you could get.
Possible?
No, he doesn't understand. His English is a problem.
But Viva phrase for it. He's all for it.
Mean. You're the victim, Catherine.
How did he not see that microaggression and just ignore it?
The man who's been testifying for his English is more eloquent than
he was just given an example of a microaggression and he just totally missed it. And he's not even looking.
95% of
like
people
one
out
of
there.
these for when I question you in English because I'm unfortunately incapable of speaking French.
There it is
I
again.
will do my very best to answer in English, but it was a very. I don't need it. Thank you.
Oh,
Okay,
I thought you didn't.
Yo, y'all little petty punks.
So
I like that guy.
You had said
He very clearly said complicated questions require my mother tongue. Otherwise, we're good. But no.
that beating up a homeless person was an aggression, at least the translation. That's what it was. That's more of an assault. So had you witnessed any homeless people get beat?
Wow, he out-lawyered him. Wow, the guy trained in lawyering beat the guy not trained in lawyering when it came to definitions. What a surprise. But yeah, that's bad dick. It's definitely an aggression.
Beaten up by protesters?
No, I
No,
don't.
if you recall my intervention,
Oh, his
the
intervention.
Shepherds of Good Hope is located at the corner of King Edward and Murray.
Did you see
There
any
was an
homeless people
incident
getting
with a
beaten up by
client.
trucker
The
convoy
executive
people?
director reached out to me to inform me of the incident.
Okay. And were any charges laid?
I have no clue.
Okay. Who was the
That's
individual
a
who was
no.
beaten?
No
Do
clue.
you know?
I have no clue.
Oh,
Okay. Thanks. So
look
it
at Catherine.
was
She's very
in
angry. She's
Feb-
very angry next to him. Look at her. You mean we're gonna have to prove our allegations? I thought we were friends.
Bro, you prove things in a court of law. You should know this. You're supposed to be a lawyer. You're supposed to know these things. You're supposed to know the difference between a public inquiry, a civil suit, and a criminal suit. You should know the difference.
February 4, 2022.
Oh
you get
God,
that
Viva
email.
Fry.
Were you
So
aware
weird.
that Chief Solly, as well as the OPP, had recommended that the city get an injunction in January of 31?
So that was among the best highlights. I remember there was one at 5 minutes and 5 hours and 21. Hold on a second here. I think there was one here.
Councilor Fleury, you
Here, listen to this.
you had
By the way, bear in mind that 3 hours later he's going to pretend not to understand English. What up?
use the term weapons when describing the trucks, and here in this video we see some unsafe behavior. It appears to show a truck driving in the
a
wrong
weapon.
lane against
It's a
traffic
weapon.
on the sidewalk. Did you observe?
Dude, yeah, trucks can be used as weapons. In Toronto, an incel drove a truck up a street and unalived several Canadians. If you followed Canadian news, you would know that trucks are extremely dangerous. What?
Any kind of unsafe use of the trucks, or can you expand on this
Does
notion?
man
of
not know
weaponizing
what a
that you
truck
mentioned
is?
Sure. I was describing earlier the Byron Market, where on weekends there would be the
pathetic.
surge of folks, and obviously we're used to protests in Ottawa. We're used to events. We're used to Canada, where 100,000 people come to the downtown core and celebrate our country. There's enough parking.
We do have a lot of trucks up north.
There's parking underground. There's parking.
Bear in mind.
Yeah, America's going to declare our trucks WMDs, and they're going to invade us for our water.
We're on an inquiry for Justin Trudeau having invoked the Emergencies Act. This guy's complaint? Parking.
In the Byron Market, paid parking. The rules of parking were not followed.
Go on, declare the Emergencies Act. Bring in the armed police. The rules of parking were not being followed. Let's just hear it again, people.
We're used to Canada, where 100,000 people come
rules
to
of
the
parking
downtown core
were not being followed.
and
Might
celebrate
get
our
a
country.
Disney World?
There's enough
Really?
parking. There's parking underground. There's parking in the Byron Market, paid parking. The rules of parking were not followed. People would park in any direction, would park on sidewalks in a very pedestrian.
They would park on sidewalks, and this man's like, "Oh my God, dude, do people park on sidewalks where you're from? What are you talking about?"
area. If you know the Byron Market, it's small businesses, store.
the man who's pro-freedom applauding at the idea of people restricting other people's freedom with their trucks. He's like, yeah, man, what's the problem here?
Fronts, it's really clear where you're supposed to park and where is the pedestrian route.
Call in the National Guard.
The surge of vehicles, pickups is one of the aspects, and we saw that in different areas of my community. The Bikers Church in Vanier was one area. De La Salle High School was another one. Along Rideau Street and the Byward Market were other areas. Nicholas were others. So there's those incidents of people not following the rules of the road in pickup trucks, which is a different vehicle, which is a weapon in itself. But the weaponized description
It's a
to me is
weapon
really the
in
rigs
itself.
who take space on the street and make noise through the horns that you've shown in video, the fumes. And I know reading through the evidence, preparing for this, we weren't informed of Ottawa Public Health and the risk to the health, but we were getting a lot of complaints from business operators and residents in the area of the smells, the intoxication of those smells.
Oh, yeah.
So the compounding.
I love that Viva Fry, because he's so triggered, is actually going to have to go in on the argument. He's actually going to have to make the argument that fumes from cars are not that big of a problem. He's going to have to do it.
Effect of noise, smells, the physical presence,
Noise,
the inability for folks to,
smells,
in some
parking.
areas, walk on the sidewalk, walk safely at a crosswalk. We have
How could they not walk safely at a crosswalk? The cars were parked.
Any community
On the
folks with mobility
sidewalk.
Needs, and getting on and off a curb anywhere and everywhere. It doesn't
Dead of
work.
winter? Yeah, it was dead of winter. Yeah. Yeah, which makes it even, yeah, exactly. It makes it even worse because you can't really circulate your air very well. Anytime you open the window, you can't get fresh air in, and that costs you heating. And they were using a lot of their cars to run all day, to keep warm. You can see a lot of them in their trucks, like on their friggin' phones. We saw a lot of that in the footage. And it was all pretty crass. It was just all obviously obnoxious.
Safely. So that's the description of the weapon, is that truck took space on the road. The truck itself created an environment that was unsafe for the immediate neighbors and made it impossible for what is our responsibility in terms of safety and well-being of residents and businesses in our community to safely live and be in the zone.
On its own, that's ridiculous, but in aggregate, yeah, I believe that.
A pickup truck is a weapon, people. You heard it here.
I've only ever driven through Ottawa, but it seemed like it had a shit ton of high-rises that would suck ass. Yeah, Ottawa's not the greatest city. It's very much a government town. Yeah. I mean, and this is coming from people who unironically would coal roll libs for driving a Yaris or something, right? Lefties don't coal roll, this is something they do, this is in conservative culture to make libs spew and cough and wheeze on the fumes of their diesel trucks. That's a trope for a reason. What are you talking about? Rolling coal? It's we're supposed to forget about this
pickup
stuff.
Truck. The guy's not embarrassed. He's not embarrassed, and he's not ashamed of himself.
Look beautiful? It does look beautiful, but it's a government town.
Even a truck, according to them, are weapons. Deafening. I guess I drive a weapon every day.
Yes! You do! As a biker, I'm just screaming. Just, yes! This lady figured it out! You do drive a 2-ton weapon every day. I'm glad you clued into it. Finally. Holy cow. Oh, jeez. Okay, everybody. I think that's where we're going to end it. I can only take so much conservative wrongthink. That was a lot of fun, though. Thanks so much for hanging out. I'll be here again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. I got a big show tonight, and I might be absolutely wiped from it because it's going late. So if I don't show up, that's why. Any appetite for a poem? Do you want to hear what I'm going to be doing tonight? Any interest in that? It'd be good practice for me, and it could be something different that you've never seen before. But if no one replies, I'll probably just practice. I could probably just practice a little bit. I can do 1 or 2 poems. You guys want to hear a poem? Huh? I can do 2 poems if I make it to the second round. And I think the stronger poem is Beauty. Let's see how that goes. This is a dictatorship. Chat, you're gonna have to hear poetry, whether you like it or not. Okay, this will be the end of the stream. I'll do this poem and probably the other one because I'm doing them later tonight. I should get that practice in. And do we have a timer? I gotta be under 3 minutes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Stopwatch. Let's do this. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder, iridescent. I see joy reflected back in me. Our twin irises grow into narrow halos. I encircle you as an aperture sky. You are beautiful. You see beauty in yourself and in others, so you're beautiful. We don't regard the rivulets or the divots in the countryside as blemishes, a part of all I take in as the wind is composed of its own emptiness. And the moon stores shade as it mirrors light. An ocean crest is coupled by twin troughs. And in my time, I have seen time. Its ripples, its waves, its squalls hold still. We will only ever have this moment. And it will never be enough. No, I'll never be enough. I touch the water of your eyes and you peak like springtide. Your sun-kissed gaze showers me with the rays stored in the dimple of your cheeks. I feel warm inside. Where shall we go from here? I should weep for all I know that will one day be lost. I have dealt with the devil, learned nothing from Faust, and the cost of love is all I know to be true. Soon I'll be swept away by the rivers that part ways in the chambers of your heart. Rivers so great, they drink my tears like rainfall. Let me stay before a spell, perched above the plaza. Let me face the sunsets here until they kiss my cheeks crimson too. Every sunset I blush. I blush when I think of you. There it is. Oh, that's way shorter. Oh my god. Sorry, that's actually a poem I turned to a song. I like the way that it works on the song, so I'm trying to make it work as a song poem. I'm not really sure. I'll have to listen to it again and see if that's through. So it's either that poem. You gotta help me decide which one's better. Yeah, poetry snaps. That one or this one. Whichever one you think is stronger, I'll do first. So this one is much shorter, but I really like it. Don't try to change my mind. I only change my mind at night. I change my mind while I am sleeping, without struggle, without fight. Don't bother me with facts or bore me with debate. I'll only remember how you loved or how vicious was your hate. I want to dream as if in flight, instead of how you smiled. I want it all to be of peace like when I was a child. When I dream is when I hope, it's where I pray alone. I don't know which gods dream here or for what sins they may atone. I only know of my void, the place where I wasn't born. A place I won't go when I die, a place I don't fear or mourn. And when I wake, my eyes will see the world cast in a morning dew. My dreams still cling to me, but mostly when I dream of you. And hey, you there, with your arguments in array. A third of me isn't even here, and who knows what he'll say. So don't try to change my mind. I only change my mind at night. I change my mind while I am sleeping, without struggle, without fright. Fight? Fight, not fright. Fuck. Okay, there you go. That's it. That's the stream. That's the poetry that I'm doing tonight. Which one did you like better, chat? Huh? Which one did you think was more fun to listen to for a French audience in particular who have never seen my work? Damn, man, I can't believe I gotta practice more. Oh jeez, I gotta end stream and just grind out those poems after homework. Either one. You like the second one, Carol? You like the one about changing minds and stuff. I find that one really funny. This idea that like we change without really realizing it. The first one was much more imagery based. I guess my question for the one that's like musical is like, without the music, does it just sound really strange and off? Like my voice is like not necessarily in a key. It's just like kind of singing along incoherently, or did it sound connected? Like we're going somewhere that there's an A, B, C kind of thing. That's kind of my main question. Because I feel like the music one is stronger. It's a bit more open-hearted and different. Yeah, I really don't. It's really odd. Like I don't know specifically which notes there are, and I'm used to the piano to go with it. Okay, all right. I think I think I'll drill the second one then. It's definitely a lot more practiced. I've done that poem a lot more. I know where like the emotional points are. With the beauty one, it's just kind of like pretty images. Just pretty images, and ain't beauty nice, and golly gee, I wish I hadn't gotten hurt by love, and has less of a message than you change while you're sleeping, which is like this spooky. Yeah. All right. Thanks for your tips. I really appreciate your input. I'll let you know how it goes. I don't think I'll be live streaming it because it'll be a pretty hands-on evening. So yeah, but I will be streaming the Poetry Slam first Saturday of every month. We've got Deanna Radford as our invited poet. She's incredibly good, and hopefully I can improve the sound and video quality. It was kind of trash last time. My bad. It's really hard to capture the audio when it's coming out of giant speakers. But I'll try my best to figure that out. And yeah, thanks so much for hanging out, chat. I'll see you later. I'll be back. Send reminders. Well, all my reminders come through Twitter. Is that fair? Is that okay? Because I can do that. I'm getting better at branding and marketing. I could do a reminder. I just don't know. I guess Twitter is where I remind people of shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Follow me on Twitter, Carol. That's where everything happens. Okay. Bye now. See you later. Ciao. This is a good stream.